Boys and girls, good morning, welcome in. Alrighty. It's the last day. For some reason, my game is outrageously slow to load at the moment, and I can't figure out why. The first time I load into the game, this has happened for the last few days. The first time I load into the game, it takes forever, and I don't know why. Clearly some add-ons or something are going funky. But how are we all doing, boys and girls? Hope we are well. I'm running a little bit late this morning, but, better late than never. It's the last day. We get patch day tomorrow. Well, depends. If you have... I wonder what the downtime is going to be for Team NA today. Because patch day downtime for Team NA is usually pretty brutal. I'm often almost about ready to go to bed before Team NA actually goes live. But we get to enjoy all the fun tomorrow. So today, patch notes, I want to have a look through. They launched the official patch notes. That might be a good coffee consuming activity, I feel. Where did I put the official patch notes? In theory, I got this prepared, and it turns out I didn't get it that prepared at all, did I? Where did I put it? Here we go. So we've got the official patch notes to go through. I want to have a read through those first thing today. Already on my second coffee. Yeah. Some days it's a 2 coffee situation. Definitely. Did you see the Undermine Hot Rod video that Blizz posted? It's actually cool, nerdy little vid. I saw it on my feed. I haven't watched it. We could also give that a little bit of an explore. There's not a lot to do in game today. There's actually 2 things I've contemplated doing today. One is I do technically need to do the Lingering Shadows campaign. I kind of accidentally did this on the PTR, so I already kind of know what's going on with it. I just need to do it because the last thing I want to be doing is blasting through this first thing tomorrow. We want to get this out the way so we can start the new stuff tomorrow. That's first thing on my list, pretty high on my list. And secondly, believe it or not, something that I'm actually pretty considering doing today is leveling up cooking. You'll see I've not cooked a single thing so far. I boycott cooking because I was really annoyed that cooking was looking really fun, and then like 2 weeks before the launch they completely changed all of it, and in my opinion gutted half of it. So I was annoyed at them for doing that, so I boycotted cooking. But it is probably worth getting it leveled up, isn't it? Maybe with a bit of fishing on top, and maybe one day we'll finish archaeology and be the proper goblin that we claim to be. But one day. In terms of other things, though, there's not really a lot to do. I kind of wanted to get the Ujal Not Bass achievement finished. This is something we could also look at doing today if we get bored. There's still 4 achievements I need for this to get this. Now, I suspect that this will be a big meta-defining achievement come the later half of the expansion, making me think that getting this finished now is not a terrible idea before we get wildly distracted with new stuff to go play with. Morning, Woo. Welcome in. Lady Daisy. Hope you're doing well. Good morning. Oh, nice little write-up, by the way, Woo. Shameless promo for those who are not in the Discord. Go get in the Discord. Is Streamlabs going to do its thing? Is Streamlabs going to do its thing over on Team YouTube? Why does Streamlabs never work on Team YouTube? Come on, Streamlabs, you are useless. I'll post it into Team YouTube. Hop into the Discord if you're not there already. And in the goal making section, there is a thread, Fortune or Folly, that's updated by Woo. And his 40 million gold little investment that he made many weeks ago. 40 million golden materials to flip. And by the looks of things, he's already pretty much cash in the bank from that. Steadily approaching break-even with around 17.5 million in stock value still to shift. So, 40 mil in, potential 55 million out by the looks of things. It's well worth having a read. I need someone to explain why cloth went so gangbuster last week. I was looking at cloth, and cloth's price seems to be very reflective on how many people are out there farming. And I'm going to be brutally honest, I don't really know how popular the cloth farms are particularly. The only real significant cloth farm I'm aware of that people actually participate in is the follower dungeon one in flipping out. What's the dungeon called? The Dark Flame Cleft, clearing the first room or so. But that's good for one version of cloth. It doesn't give you the 2 rare versions of cloth. So actually looking at the markets on those, there was so little supply of cloth. It was actually scary. So yeah, I don't really know what's going on there, other than I have a sneaky suspicion it's just purely the basis of the fact nobody's flipping farming it. The only basic cloth that seems to be knocking about is due to thaumaturgy, to be honest, right now. Thaumaturgy is keeping the cloth market alive, which is really odd to see. But it was a byproduct of what we suspected when they made it so that only tailors can farm it. As soon as tailors stop farming it, supply disappears, supply stops, and that's what I feel has happened. But all of that is kind of speculative without looking at the data, but it's pretty crazy. What's this? Yeah, so this, oh my god, the flipping ads on this website is outrageous. So this, for example, right? Can you hazard a guess at what I've been shopping for recently? Not plastic flies, though. I definitely have not been shopping for plastic flies, but I may have been looking at monitors. If we zoom into this a little bit, we can see that the price change in terms of materials. Cloth just went to the moon last week. Cloth was up like stupid amount. And I'm pretty convinced that the reason it went stupid is because there was so little of it. And it's and it's something that if you squirrel it away, I wonder how much of an influence Zanzifal's had on this behind the scenes, at least on Team EU. Not even sure.
Drizzling Rose says, "Hey Stanley, I feel like I should remember something, but I don't remember. Can you help me?"
Okay.
Ah, yes.
What have
the
you
classic
forgot?
case of forgetting without remembering what you forgot. How very peculiar. Perhaps you should check for a Twitch Prime while you try to jog your memory.
That's always solid advice. That is always solid advice. Well done there, Stanley. Well done. Two knowledge points. Artisan security. We'll do all of those. Mark my words, somebody is sitting on a big pile of cloth ready to throw upon the auction house. Oh, I am sure of
Drizzling
it.
Rose subscribed for 2 months and says, "Ache twice, Stanley."
Just post, thank you very much.
A fine choice in subscribing for 2 months. Your gaming prowess will surely improve with such a wise decision. Remember, always check for a Twitch Prime for extra perks.
I would like to clarify at this moment in time that Stanley is cannot confirm nor deny that subbing will give you improved gaming luck, but it is a theory. It is a theory. Would appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you. But yeah, I think there are some... It's really difficult to gauge what's going on right now because it's clear to me that a lot of the spike in price, or the movement on the auction house, should we say, the movement in the economy right now is completely false. It's completely fake. It's very misleading because there's a great possibility that everything that we've sold on the auction house in the last week, materials-wise, will come back again. It won't be consumed. It will be, you know, it will turn back up at some point, which will only turn back up on top of the new freshly farmed materials, so it stacks twice as high. And when it stacks twice as high, it often ends up half as cheap, which is always what tends to cause that initial crash, which I always find quite funny to see. What am I missing on crafting this? Random ass shards. Ooh, don't move. What?
Return if you wish to speak again.
Don't move, long boy. Don't move. Ooh, loads of goodies. Must be nice having all that knowledge, all those knowledge points waiting for you. I check my Patreon orders basically daily on this character and always have a couple to do. I'm slowly catching up. By the time I catch up, I'll have maxed the tree out anyway. It's kind of how it feels. But give it a few days, we'll all find out what happens. This is the fun of new patch. That a lot of the hustle and bustle tends to actually happen before the patch even launches these days. And that once the patch actually goes live, we tend to have to rely very heavily on the actual true demand, and we all have to we all then get to see if what we guesstimated was right or not. Right, we are going to have to post some of this, aren't we? What's your insight on the enchanted crests that you buy from a vendor instead of having an enchanter doing it for you? It will have a notable pull down on the price of materials, almost across the board. We took a little bit of a more in-depth look to this yesterday on stream, but the reality is crests consumed a good amount of the quality 1 materials from enchanting. Now, there isn't a huge amount of other places those quality 1 materials can really go. Quality 1 shards can be broken down. You can shatter them down. Quality 1 dust has to pretty much be recycled through crafting more stuff for a second chance to turn it into higher dust when being disenchanted. So we'll see more of that going on. But all of that is pulling at the profit margins of disenchanters. Now, when those same disenchanters struggle to sell their quality 1 materials for as much, it means that they kind of have to rely more on the quality 2 materials, and they get a little bit, you know, it's all a little bit tricky. It starts to push it back into a Dragonflight type scenario, where you would have this byproduct by crafting that was hard to get rid of. You remember all of those quality 2 stuff that ended up being basically free in Dragonflight because people were so desperate to get rid of their quality 2 stuff to supplement the sale of their quality 3s to ensure that they actually get some profit out of what they're doing. Removing enchanting crests will notably push down the price of Q1 dust. If the price of Q1 dust gets pushed down far enough, then it becomes worth to thematigize it. Not something that anybody's considered so far this expansion, because it's always been actually one of the more valuable materials. But it will bring down the price of the basic stuff even further, because if the price of the dust comes down, then your opportunity to thematigize the other materials that make the dust comes down further. So, yeah, I mean, it will have a bit of a pull down on the price of materials, but that happens every patch anyway. It just might happen a bit quicker and a little bit more aggressively. Who knows? Who knows? The reality is you'll never really be able to pinpoint and say, okay, well, this is why that happened. But like I said, it was a good exit for some low quality materials that we now don't have. So those low quality materials have got to do something. And the main thing is they'll probably just get cheaper, faster is my call on that, to be honest. Someone else cancelled their appointment, so I get to have my first mental health talk at the hospital in a week early. Lucky me. Got 10 minutes before I got to go, though. I don't know what to say in scenarios like that. Answer the questions truthfully and honestly. Good luck. I don't know. I don't know what the right protocol is with stuff like that. Enjoy it. Is that? I don't know. I don't know. Any way to make some gold off the spare crests before reset? Not really. No. Undercoins are something you're going to want to purge today, though, by the way, if you haven't already. I know a few people have already pointed this out. I think it's relatively well-known information at this point. But undercoins from your delve runs are being reset. So cash those out if you haven't already. This is predominantly the reason the delve materials have tanked in value over the last week. Because everybody's been cashing out their undercoins. And once you... Let's say, for example, you don't care for the actual rewards, you can cash them out into the bag that gives you 3 delve materials. So, you know, there's the chance of tinderboxes in there. And every one that isn't a tinderbox, you get 3 that are not tinderboxes, and then, hey, presto, you've got another tinderbox. So it's no surprise they've got pretty cheap over the last week. But we're also likely to see a new flood of tinderbox materials hitting the auction house, with a new season of delves kicking off. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Right, there's that lot listed. Where'd all these random ass mats come from? These must be... I don't know where all these random mats have come from. People are wanting stuff. There seems to be... bunch of people wanting blacksmithing hammers and pickaxes, apparently. Blacksmiths make their own blacksmith hammers. Well, I guess maybe not if you've, I guess maybe not if, yeah, I guess maybe not if, you haven't spec'd in that way.
Jack the Dipper says, "Hi, Montius. Chat. Silence."
Welcome in, Jack. Good morning, good morning.
It seems Jack the Dipper is boldly taking charge, demanding silence. A true leader has emerged. Remember, in the world of gaming, sometimes silence is key, unless you're reminding everyone to check for a Twitch Prime.
Factual information. 12 knowledge points. I need 20 to fill a node. I'm at the point now where I'm just filling out these slots. There's part of me, you know, that is wondering whether it's better to fill out individual slots now. Because I can always, technically, if I ever want to make one of these, and I want to make one at top quality, I can do. I just need to use concentration to do it. So, for example, you know, use some better mats, as you always do and should. Use some better mats, and then I can use concentration to make it at Q5. Now, if I got the last 20 points in the bag, for the purpose of ever filling out work orders, for example, the last 20 points would mean I could guarantee it without concentration. The reality is I don't fill many orders for these and haven't really been looking for many orders for these. But I wonder if all that will change. My decision here is, do I spend my next 90 knowledge points on doing the same but within leather, to literally put myself in the ability to craft any item I want via leatherworking at max quality. Literally every item in the game. 90 points in here, I'll be able to craft every item in the game at max quality. Sure, it will require concentration for each craft, so I am limited to how many times I can craft them, but the point is I still will be able to. Where I've also got points in these as well, the 3 different categories, meaning that any of the, not the base set items, but the speciality items, I can do the same with. I'm at a position where throw me some top tier mats, I can use some concentration and craft anything I like at Q5 when needed, if needed. I wonder if that's the play. I don't know. Am I going to make a vid on the Fated Fortune cards? Probably. I've accidentally put, in that regard, I've left myself quite a lot on my plate, really. The Fated Fortune cards was just a little bit of a funny experiment, which turned out to work. Not all experiments do. It's, turned out to work, sort of, which I kind of like, so I probably should turn it into a bit of content. But my main focus, if I'm going to be brutally honest, is actually on making sure that my Goblin Guide is up to date for 11.1. There's a couple of professions that are significantly lacking, aggressively lacking in information, which I kind of feel bad for. Hence why I want to level cooking today. My gathering guides are not great either, but, that's by proxy of not really doing much gathering. My scribe guide could do with an update, and I'm working on the engineering one right now. So I have a little bit on my plate, so I might not have much time in the next few days to be doing videos. I don't know. Technically, I probably shouldn't be streaming now. This was a contemplation today that, do I take the day off streaming today to go and get some actual, proper work done, should I say? But I kind of have such a routine of streaming every day. I feel bad for them not doing it. It's catch-22. Right, this dude, I think we need to... I want to go make sure that we're fully ready for tomorrow. I think I owe that to myself at the least. Let's do this Lingering Shadows campaign. Let's make sure we've got that sorted. Let's go find... I'm making about 50k a week with the NPC orders. Patron orders can be big business. And realistically, it's a good way to recuperate any of the cost of leveling those professions, if nothing else. Most professions have 20 to 30,000 gold of cost to get them up and running. And, patron orders, whilst it's not going to make you rich, it will at least cover the cost of leveling them. Then it means at any given point, if something explosive happens, if there ends up being something that absolutely every man and their dog wants, and you've got that profession already leveled up and paid for, you put yourself in a really good spot. Which is the way I tend to play with professions, really. I would like to have all of my professions optimized so that if and as and when I need them, I've got them. This is kind of similar in vein to... I don't know how many people have watched Preach over the years, but when he was more YouTube focused, it is incredibly clear to see that Preach is now a full-time streamer. Sure, he makes YouTube videos, but the reality is he's a full-time streamer. When he was more focused on YouTube, a lot of the time he would talk about how when he was picking a class for a patch, if he chose something like a druid, he would feel obligated to both have a set of gear and also simultaneously know everything there is to know about all the 3 different classes of those specs of that class. And I kind of feel the same with professions, right? I would like to put myself in a position where, if needed, you know, this is why just a minute ago I was like, do I set up leatherworking in a way that makes it so I can craft, so technically I can then craft everything at max quality, rather than pushing to be able to guarantee certain items at max quality, for example. It's kind of how I play with professions generally. I'm getting my ass absolutely handed to here. Why are these guys so wham all of a sudden? What the hell did I drop into there? I didn't mean to, that's the annoying thing. I saw a rare and went to kill it, didn't realise it was an elite zone. I have not played this Ashkahet like hardly at all. It's my least favourite zone in this expansion. Too dark, too gloomy, too many fucking spiders. I mean, it's entirely possible to make gold with crafting orders because you don't have any cost. Like it's the concept of the fact that you don't like this. This is the annoying thing for some players, is that the argument very quickly is like, oh well, you're just pressing a button. Why do I need to tip you? And well, because I've set the profession up, I've taken the time to do that. You didn't. It's courteous, but yes, when you don't fundamentally have any cost, you know, when you're crafting and putting stuff on the auction house, you're taking the risk. You're taking the risk that somebody wants this and somebody's willing to pay you more than it cost you to craft it. That's the risk you're taking. With work orders, there's no risk. You don't lose gold if you don't fill orders. You don't make any, but you don't lose any. The worst that's going to happen is you're going to lose some time. But Craft Scan has come along and has made that entire process basically a non-issue if you play on a big enough server. You can tinker with your Craft Scan settings whilst waiting for people to say they want something, and then when people want something, you can be there ready to craft it for them. It's pretty easy. That's still not to say that I like the system, but it mostly works. Did you try Classic Hardcore? Hardcore's not a me thing. It's not a me thing. I like the progression of my characters, and I tend to care for my characters. Having the impending doom of one being whipped away from me because of a DC, or because I do something stupid, or I tag too many things. Yeah, that's not happening. If I didn't stream, I'd probably consider it, but I know when I'm streaming I'm paying less than 50% attention to what's going on in the game half the time. That on top of my mediocre at best skill in this game. Hardcore would not be very fun for me. Let's not forget that I've not really been a big fan of Classic in general, full stop, since I did it, right? This is the thing for me. I did it 20 years ago. I did Classic when Classic was Classic. It's not like I felt like I missed out and I now have the opportunity to go and relive something that I missed out on. I didn't miss out. I did it when it was a thing, and I'm happy to leave it at that. And it doesn't feel the same doing it the second time round. I don't think I'd feel the same sense of progression playing Classic again now. Because back when I played it originally, it was the current and the most recent thing, and that progression felt real, if that makes sense. I guess it probably doesn't make sense, but it feels artificial now when you go back and do it again. I know a lot of goal makers have moved to Classic almost exclusively now, just due to the fact that the old way of making gold with the individual servers and the micro economies was more to a lot of people's liking and playstyle, which I get. But goal making, I don't even think goal making on Classic would hit the same for me. Because once again, I've done it all. There's nothing new to explore, there's nothing new to find out. You know exactly what's coming every single patch for the next 10 years. A lot of what I enjoy is the speculation about what's coming, for example. They got the modern style auction house in Kata Classic though. No more pretty stacking. The irony is pretty stacking used to be one of the best ways to make the gold, wasn't it? Because it was selling things to people in a convenient quantity. You could buy individual potions at the cheapest price, but then you had to buy 20 items and loot 20 items out your mailbox. Or you could sell somebody a stack of 20 at a bit of a premium, but the convenience of only having to buy out one auction, or the stupidity of people not doing maths, was a win. Was a win.
Nerubians are still
selling 100 arrows for the price of 1,000, yeah. Yeah, literally.
Until those burrows are collapsed.
It's an 800 gold world quest. Crafting orders will be my experiment in this new season. I'll probably stop at some point, but I want to see how it goes for the start. I think there'll be... This is my only thoughts about how the profession reset will be utilised. I think there'll be a lot of people that will switch into crafting gear for others who would have followed the advice of content creators like me, like K-Chak, a little bit like Zan, who went very heavy into like materials, reagents, auction house stuff, pushing for Q3 crafts. You know, there'll be a lot of people that followed the people that they watch, and I think a lot of those players only followed and probably weren't quite prepared or ready for just how competitive it got. And I think there might be a huge a huge influx of people that will use this reset to switch their professions into a more service-based opportunity. Because of, like what I mentioned a minute ago, once you've covered the cost of setting up your professions, work orders don't cost you anything if you don't fill orders. The nature of crafting materials, reagents, intermediates, armor kits, consumables, this sort of stuff, there's always that inherent risk that you lose gold doing it. And so I do kind of think a lot of people will take the not as secure, well, not as steady, but the more secure gold opportunities. Switch the knowledge points that they've gained out of like profession tools and stuff and maybe into gear, or I don't know. I think there will be some people that will reconsider what they do with their professions, even those that have got, you know, a few hundred knowledge points in each profession already and have semi-kept up with them. There's the opportunity to change. The difficulty is that the players that change, there's no going back. Right? This is the thing. It's a one-time... This is going to be the risk implication, that it's a one-time knowledge reset, and people might use that to go try something different. You know, the grass is greener sort of scenario. We see this with, like, the classes that people play. People jump on what is the cookie cutter, the meta, but the meta changes, the meta shifts. Alternatively, you might have some people that have got so many knowledge points right now that they've practically filled all of their trees anyway and don't care, but those people tend not to need much guidance. They're already doing a pretty good job to begin with. Definitely a lot of people that just put their points in the wrong place and then bin their profession. Those people would also spec into armor crafting, etc. Well, a good example of this is there's a huge amount of people that spec'd very heavily into profession tools at the beginning, because the first couple of weeks when you could craft and sell green profession tools for like silly money, people hopped on that, and people were setting up alts left, right and center to do that. It was crazy times. But that was a very short-lived market. Those players should have technically progressed into selling and doing work orders for the top tier profession tools. But there's a good chance that a lot of them just kind of left those characters as soon as that market dried up. The issue is, though, is that those players are probably going to only have 50 to 100 knowledge points, let's say 200 knowledge points maximum to reset anyway. Meaning they're going to have to completely go from one direction into a completely new, separate one. Which may or may not work, who knows. Decided to go this way because of my realm, which is a languaged realm, so there is a barrier to entry. Seems to not have a huge amount of crafters, I observed over the last months. So how many people waited 20 minutes before stop spamming looking for crafts. So which language do you use predominantly? I think the options are what, German, Italian or Spanish, right? Because I know there's been requests for CraftSim to support more languages. Localization of add-ons is, I mean, it's a thankless job making add-ons in the first place. Localizing them is another level.
And help has arrived. We can still see this through.
What is it? Roots guide you home, stranger.
Don't you also lose the recipes you've got on reset? And what does that do for experimentation-based ones like engineering and alchemy? You lose the recipes that you gained from those knowledge points. You don't lose all of your recipes. There seems to be, once again, a real big misconception of this, and it's the detail is in the wording of this. You lose the recipes you gained from the spec trees. So in jewel crafting, for example, recipes that you gain, like, where is it? Teaches you the recipe for the elemental focusing lens optional reagent. If you've put all your points in this currently, and at 15 points you unlocked that recipe, when you do your knowledge reset, you'll lose that recipe. But you'll gain it back again if you put the points back in this node. So you're only losing the recipes. You're only losing recipes that you gained via the spec trees in the first place. And so things like engineering and alchemy, where you don't gain those recipes from the spec trees, for the most part, they're discovery based. You still keep all of them. The slight exception to the rule is engineering, that you have to have, I think with engineering, you have to have a certain amount of knowledge points in a certain node before you can discover things like profession tools. So because you won't have that node, you will lose the profession tools. And then when you refill that node, if you choose to refill that node, you can then rediscover the profession tools. That's the only slight weird one. But it's linked more to... People have obviously looked into it and read into it as being just a blanket, you lose all of your recipes, and that's not the case. Italian servers, tried with rings and necks and was doing 20 to 50k a day just passively replying through chat whilst playing the game. Italian servers, there's very little crafters. This is the advantage. Find a gap in the market and fill it. if you have the skill, if you have the expertise, if you have the knowledge, if you have the know-how, find that gap in the market, fill it, do it. The reality is the most gold is made where the least effort is being put in by others. A market that's hyper competitive has an awful lot of people in it trying really hard to extract gold from it. And that is usually one of the reasons why it's not very profitable. This is why one of the first rules in the rule book is find a market that nobody else is really dealing with and deal with it better, or deal with a market better than anybody else is already dealing with. So if there's not many crafters out there, roll up a bunch of crafters and, stand and fill orders all day. Yeah, new patches, well, obviously for us over on the EU, it goes live tomorrow. Team NA get a few hours head start on us like normal. Second rule is you don't talk about Fight Club, yeah. You don't talk about the goblin cartels that clearly exist. Will it be fast to get to Renown 5 for recipes? It depends just how much renown you get from doing the first chapters of the campaign. Mr. GM tweeted out yesterday, I'm not sure where his source for this information is, but considering he was chin-wagging with Ian Hazakostas the other day, it might have literally come from the horse's mouth. That you should be able to do the first, I think, 4 chapters of the campaign tomorrow, which leads me to believe that with the addition of all of the world quests and everything, that getting to Renown 5 shouldn't be that difficult at all. I can't quite remember when I first played through how much renown I got from doing the campaign, but I also then screwed my account up on the PTR, which meant my renown tracking got reset. But I would imagine Renown 5 is not going to be that difficult. The reality is if you're really pushing, I'm going to be honest, if you're going to be one of those people that's going to try and push for Renown 5 to get the recipes first, it's a little bit too late to be asking that question, if I'm honest. The best plan of action, the best thing you could have done to prepare would have been to jump onto the PTR and do it, right? To jump on the PTR and see just what was needed. The fact that you're asking a day before leads me to believe that you may or may not see much success from that, unfortunately. But that's a presumption that may or may not be fair. Preparation is any time you want to be first to market or relatively quick to a market, you've got to prepare. You can't just expect to go in blind and win.
Let us get back to the others and see to your wounds.
And if you're not looking to get in there particularly fast, then the reality is it doesn't matter too much. I know this kind of sounds harsh, but these are some of the harsh truths that I try not to hide away from. Prep would be saving the Dark Moon buff. I mean, that's one of the clever uses of game mechanics that people do, yeah, for sure. Mostly so I can concentration craft the Vansis runes for Wednesday. Well, things like the Vansis runes, you've obviously got the advantage of that, well, the raid doesn't come out for a week. So, it's one of those that if it's possible, it requires there to be a real fine line for it to be something that will make you a lot of money.
We must retreat and speak.
Innkeeper of Moonglade says, "Hi Stanley, tell us a clever use of game mechanic."
I'm not sure Stanley
A clever
can
use of game
divulge.
mechanics, you say? How about using the aggressive jump technique in platformers to reach seemingly unreachable areas? It's all about thinking outside the box, or should I say, outside the game's boundaries.
Not too far out, though. Not too far out. You'll catch a stray ban. Yeah, you kind of need, for things like that. I mean, concentration crafts, obviously, you're limited to how you'll be able to make like 2 or 3 Vantus runes per character. So there is clearly going to be a good market there if you can get in on it. But I'm already very aware that there are people that have set up a whole bunch of like scribes ahead of time in order to try and capitalize on this. So for me, I know that because there is so, I mean, I've seen this 10 times over, when there is so few new things happening in a patch, the amount of people that try and all jump on one thing is monstrous. And those markets tend to be, the clear and obvious markets tend not to be that lucrative unless you are doing something very special. And by, I've seen this cutscene, and by very special I mean like weeks of planning and preparation and micromanaging exactly how much rep you get off every single quest so that you can absolutely get there first, craft a few of them, try and snag a couple of those early 200,000 gold sales before the market completely tanks to a 1% margin grind between 5 million alts. Is the way I would approach it. And this is why I didn't do too much of that this time, because I knew soon as it became clear to me that there was basically nothing new coming, I knew that there'd be so many people focusing on Vantus runes and contracts that it's going to be a very, very flooded market, I think, very quickly. Because I'm pretty sure Renown 5 is going to be a cakewalk if you're proactively playing the game. I don't even know why I'm picking up dirt piles, you know. What am I doing? Clearly lost my mind.
I cannot do this alone.
If you were the first Renown 5, you'd craft the contracts anyway, not Vantus runes. When there's only 2 options, though, you know full well there'll be absolutely loads of people that, you know, go either way. Oh, I've capped my Valor Stones. What can I do with Valor Stones?
May you lend your song to hers. Let nature take its course.
Well, I can't upgrade my gear anymore because I'm capped on crests, so maybe actually turning them into sparks, considering I have 21 fractured ones. Combine 2 sparks of omens with 250. Valor Stones are completely pointless. Not that I will probably ever use these sparks, but I've got nothing to use the Valor Stones on right now either, so... I clearly haven't crafted much gear. I might use these to make like a set of crafted gear. Yeah, I don't know. Buy warband gear, disenchant it. I mean, yeah. Right, we're out. We got 9.
You have come far, goddess. Grant me
I might actually use these to grab the appearances from the male set. Not that I really need the, you know, I can just craft 1 of each for the appearance. What? Go away. What? Oh, it's because it's put me in combat. Stupid game. What am I doing here? Defend the thing during a meditation. Alright, roger that.
I hear the drumming. No.
You always either capped or it's 0. Yeah, Valor Stones do feel weird to me. Why, if the limiting factor is always going to be crests, do Valor Stones need to really exist? It's World of Currency Craft at that point, isn't it?
I do not understand.
It's just another slight annoyance. They just exist to exist. Yeah, I think that's pretty much most people's consensus with Valor Stones. They matter for about a week at the beginning. And then after that, they basically don't matter at all. To be honest, we barely have any currencies involved to begin with. Oh, there's some subtle sarcasm in that one. Nice.
Your path leads you deep, stranger. The vision. We are close. But I must remain
worn down
unseen
journal.
by the
What's
people
this?
there. Look for me in
This is
another
clearly
form.
part of an
At
achievement.
least I can
Where is
honor
it?
one Heronir tradition.
Kazalgar Law Hunter? Oh. Standing here, the closest I've been to Beladar, the truth is as deep within my heart tells me that I've been fooled. We came here seeking the sacred flame, and all we have found is a deeper struggle. We're fighting on the losing side of a war that will never end. Is the light of the flames true salvation? Is it? All I see is darkness around me, around Beladar. So much of it seems infinite. It's time to embrace the only truth. The light of the star is just an anomaly within the vast ocean of darkness. Okay. Interesting. There's clearly law book. Kazalgar law book or something. Kazalgar Law Hunter. Oh, I found a few of them already. What we're doing in game at the moment, I'm working through the Xalatath. Is it Xalatath? I can't remember. The last little bit of the campaign. The sort of the pre-intro. What's it called? The Lingering Shadows campaign. I realised that I'd never actually done this on live. I'd done it on the PTR, and so I kind of know the storyline. But it's a prerequisite to tomorrow's activities, so I need to get it done today. What I probably could and should do as well, actually. I've been really slacking on my reps. I'm still only like 20, 21, no, well, 19, 20, 21, and 16. Good probability that I should focus. I don't know. There's actually, see, this is the weird thing. I've spent far too much time crafting in flipping. Far too much time crafting this patch, which means I should probably have done a lot more of the world content. I think I've done some. I think, to be fair, I think I've probably done more than I would have normally done at the beginning of each expansion, but look at that renown. Holy. I kind of got to renown 12 to 14, I think, with most of the factions. Whatever point it was that you needed the books, and then basically gave up caring. Was it 12 or 14? Yeah, as soon as I like this was my requirement. Anything above that is just like passively doing a few world quests here or there, killing the odd rare. Nothing particularly focused. in Dragonflight, by this point in Dragonflight, in fact, I think I'd got 4 characters max renown. And I have now it's gone warband. I haven't even done it once. Is the prerequisite the quest that was released in 11.0.7 or the last part of the campaign that's unlocked at the Lingering Shadows? The Lingering Shadows campaign is the prerequisite to tomorrow's activities. So worth doing it now. It doesn't take long, to be fair, even if you don't. It's not a big deal. But I'm pretty sure until you've done this, you don't get the intro quest to 11.1. Renown in Dragonflight was something else for professions, though. Lots of stuff was locked behind Renown 20. That's true. There was a lot more of a reason to grind it in Dragonflight, and so I did. And this is maybe why I've been a little bit more nonchalant with it this time round. In Dragonflight, because it was the first time we'd had Renowns, what we didn't know in Dragonflight was if they were going to build on the Renowns when they went into further patches. So I wanted to make sure that my 4 main crafters were maxed on Renown by the time we moved on. In hindsight, it was a complete fucking waste of time because they didn't build on the Renowns in any way, shape or form. They just added new ones to every zone we went to. So it was a complete and utter waste of time. But, you know, you win some, you lose some. In that scenario, I lost some. I spent a lot of time grinding out all the Renowns on multiple characters where I didn't really need to. I certainly didn't need to Zerg it in the first patch like I did.
Hey, pal. Nice timing.
Nice timing. How we doing, Gazlo?
Plenty more where that came from. Business is booming. This Haxel guy has the papers we need to set up close and see what they're up to.
Go. I will follow unseen. This must be what the visions meant for us to do.
Back off. This job is mine. I paid good bribes for it.
Paid good bribes. Real money.
Get to meet the big boss.
Oops, shouldn't have stood in that. What's this on the floor? Who are you? Do we need you? No, we got you. You're in a dead server. Jump in the you want to join? No refunds. Whisper me in game if you want, and I can invite you to the guild. When in the guild, there's the entire guild's full of top tier crafters. I'm not even sure actually if no refunds is advertising in the. Maybe since we're going into a new. Yeah, you can hop in no refunds if you're on a dead server, because guilds are cross-realm now. And with guilds being cross-realm, anybody in the guild can craft for you.
Or sell it. Where there's risk, there's reward. Keep an eye out for anything odd while you ask around.
I will scout on my own.
I mean, feel free to join the guild, get something crafted, and then dip. Like lots of people do. That's kind of the concept of it. Was that you? I just accepted.
Well, spit it out. If you can make it. I wanted less.
I'm not sure how many people are online at the moment, but there are pretty much crafters that can make basically anything.
Huh, interesting. Keep
Oh, was
asking
that
around,
another
and I'll do the
applicant?
same. Keep your eyes open.
Random dude from Twitch needs some gear. There we go. Yeah, there's pretty much a crafter for basically anything you could possibly want in the guild. the guild info lists suggested tips, so that everybody fairly gets paid. They're not over expensive.
I get no respect around here. You want to know what all the drilling's about, buddy? Oh, it's bigger than you can imagine.
Why are we going to kill this? Haywire's slain. Let's get it gone. Get it gone. I've kind of, now obviously I'm not rocking the best gear in the world, but I'm at 621 item level, which on average is probably better geared than I would normally be, based upon the fact that I don't particularly do any raiding. And I've kind of quite got used to feeling not powerful, but not weak sauce. Like, over the years, I got so used to just being weak sauce all the time because I never geared any of my characters. It's going to feel a bit odd not feeling so powerful tomorrow. Always one of the weird feelings of going from one season to another. It's kind of why I don't, I'm not the biggest fan of this seasonal design that they've gone with in retail, but it's kind of always been there. But like, I would kind of, I don't know. The gearing tends to feel not like a steady progression through the expansion. It feels very jerky, knee-jerky nowadays, when you basically replace your entire gear when you go into a new season. But I think they really need to do something with the gearing, because I think it's overly complicated. Not difficult. Let's be clear here that the gearing is not overly difficult. In fact, you've got options for gearing these days, which is pretty good. But I think the system of upgrading your gear and the progression of it is just complicated. Complicated over fun. As we spoke about Valor Stones, for example. I think Valor Stones, Flight Stones, whatever the fuck they're called these days, are just kind of pretty pointless because crests are your bottleneck. Yeah, Delves definitely assisted with my gearing. Delves, I think, tops out at like 610 or something. But because Delves... Actually, the thing that's probably helped more than anything else is even I now have a weekly vault, which is something that for a long time I never even bothered with because I didn't do raiding or particularly much Mythic Plus. Because dungeons and delves count towards your vault. Even if, like, the vault is not giving me something, every week it's a couple of crests. A couple of crests more than I would have, under normal circumstances have had. So I'm now, for all intensive purposes, like, heroic raid geared without actually doing any heroic raiding. Which is fine.
Hurry back! Glad I could help!
Where's this dude then? Oh, there he is.
Little help? Kind of bit off more
Bit of phasing issue there, I think.
Die, foul machine.
What? Who are you? What are you?
Need to fill the monthly traveller's log before February ends. That's a good point, actually. I suspect that these last 400 points will actually come really quickly and easily tomorrow anyway, because we'll be in the new zone and there's definitely going to be stuff in the new zone. But yeah, getting this last few hundred points is worth. These months where they give you a stretch goal, you should probably do it. I don't really ever put much focus in doing the Traveller's Log. But then again, I'm kind of the target market for somebody that just plays the game consistently across the month, and so it just kind of accidentally happens if you do enough random bits and pieces.
I just realized I'm afraid of heights. Man, I've got all my money tied up in this venture. No, not that venture. Are you crazy?
Dabble in Heroic, Raid, and Mythic Plus a lot. I like the gearing system. I just think that it's unnecessarily complicated. I'm old school in a way. I don't understand why it can't be kill boss, boss drops loot. It's almost irrespective to what the bosses drop these days.
But I heard things coming from the wall.
And all of the bad luck protection and catch-up systems and all of that sort of stuff. I don't mind that, but I tend to think all of that should be pushed back to I'm not so much of a fan of bad luck protection and catch-up systems within the same season that content is the end game content. If that makes sense. That for me is one of the areas where I think they could change it. But there's the inherent problem that they've given it to players that they can't easily take it away.
I went searching for you, friend. I found you outside the building.
But at the end of the day, my voice isn't very loud on this topic because I don't really do that much of endgame content. So, you know, who am I to say why there should be or what there should be changed? You know, if you don't do arenas, your opinion on arena composition probably isn't that valid, you know? I understand that.
While you fought the machine, I witnessed something inside.
I've seen these cutscenes.
Alleyways.
I'm not going to spoil them for people that are doing the quest line today.
They shouldn't have the resources for an operation here. Let me know.
I must follow my vision.
This is where a lot of my foundation for opinion comes from when we look at crafting. Is that I know full well that I know my opinion on crafting is vastly different to a lot of people. I really enjoy the crafting system. I like the mechanics of multi-craft. I like the mechanics of resourcefulness. It blurs the crafting costs, which gives them more room for people to, you know, excel at their craft. People who put in a little bit more time and a little bit more effort, and people who, you know, craft in bulk will see more reliable results and this sort of stuff. You can craft one or two things and maybe get lucky. And, well, congratulations. I really like the crafting system, but I know most people despise it. And they despise it because they don't really care to deal with it themselves, but they are still somewhat forced to have to integrate with it and understand, to a degree at least, how it works. I liken it to, like, if your main focus is Mythic Plus, why should you need to know what the optimal comp is in threes? You should, you know, it's foreign information that isn't necessary to your end game goal. We had this thing with gearing for many years in this game where, you know, people didn't want to do PvP in order to be good at PvE and vice versa. There's lots of crafting is a very, you know, the goblin lifestyle is very niche little corner of this game, much like pet battles is a very niche corner. You know, RP is quite a niche corner. But if you engage in these things, you can do it, you know, you can surround yourself by other people that enjoy it, and it's absolutely fine. But people who don't care for that content don't have it thrust in their face to care, which I think is the problem that crafting has these days. That no, people who don't want to care too much about crafting have to care about crafting because it's one of the components to them getting their top gear for their end game system of choice. Which means, unfortunately, crafting is probably a little overcomplicated for average Joe, and hence why so many people just despise it.
Know your target. Our mysterious ally returns.
There we go. Lingering Shadows. Beautiful.
Last time, before we could thank you.
That is our way. It was my way. But my vision
Everybody says it
could be
sucks, but
on
me and the
another
wife love the crafting system. We've every profession covered with all our tunes, and it's sick being able to just craft everything. Yeah, some people really dig it. But it's you know, it's a niche interest. It's a specific kind of player that enjoys that. Where I would go as far as to say your average arena junkie, your average, you know, key pusher probably is not anywhere near as interested in the logistics of leveling up a profession and screaming and shouting and filling work orders in the capital city or farming mats. You know, they do it as a means to an end, as to potentially make some gold, and if it doesn't make any gold, they're just not going to do it. You know, they look at that activity for its outcome, not for what it offers in terms of entertainment. Bring back Shadowlands crafting. It actually made logical sense that it didn't require spreadsheets and guides to be able to navigate. Well, you say that. One of my claims to fame is that my Shadowlands spreadsheet for legendaries went semi-global. But I do kind of agree with you, yeah. I do kind of agree with you. Shadowlands was on the right track. I think there's a perfect combination. There's a perfect mix of Shadowlands crafting with with the new crafting system we have now that I think we're slowly working towards. The only reason it doesn't exist right now is because good old Blizzard feels the need to force everybody to use their new systems, whether they like it or not. And by force them to use it, I mean things like making every single piece of gear bind on pickup, removing literally 50% of all crafts from the auction house, making it massively over-convoluted to get a piece of gear crafted, which by proxy teaches people about the crafting system. But all people have been taught about the crafting system is that I have to provide quality 3 materials if I want a top piece of gear, not to use public orders because it will come back quality 3 and then you'll cry, and that finding a crafter, you just have to whisper in trade chat and you'll get 10 bot responses and you pick the one that you think might actually be a human. The reality is they're all using craft scan. It doesn't make a blind bit of difference. These restrictions have just, you know,
Don't worry about
people have figured out what they need to figure out
in time. We all agree
to get along with the crafting system, but
if it's
have a
really
strong
processing, it's lost.
general distaste for the whole system, I think, unfortunately. It's just too complicated for a 38-year-old gamer dad right now. I simply don't have the time to look at everything. And I don't think that should be a problem. And in terms of the fact that if you don't have the desire or the time to play with crafting, that shouldn't be an issue. There are people out there that do have the time and do have the desire to, but Blizzard has put some pretty heavy restrictions in place. You know, meaning that if you then don't want to deal with it and you want to get a piece of gear crafted, you have to actively go out of your way to find that crafter, and Blizzard hasn't given you really much of a way to go and find that crafter, and so there's just friction. There's just unnecessary friction at every stage, which is why going into 11.1 tomorrow, enchanters no longer make crests, because it's, you know, one link in the chain that's probably unnecessary, and so they cut it, and it makes the process of crafting gear a touch easier. So we'll see where they go with it eventually. Your spreadsheet helped me make the golden cap by crafting vendor flipping composite bow shrouded robes. Yeah, the vendor shuffle sheet was a popular one as well. As it turned out, Blizzard clearly got a hold of that sheet as well, because by the next expansion, every possible option was nerfed. So, yeah, about that. That said, I have recently found an interesting one with Fated Fortune cards that is basically the same.
And knowing you, you'll find it all. Keep out of trouble. And make sure Brinth always knows.
Extended stream when 11.1 goes live, sir, or business as usual? Well, I won't be. Obviously, I do have my NA account, but I'm not really very well set up on my NA account. We will be streaming tomorrow, usual time. But of course, it does technically go live first in NA. We might, obviously tomorrow's Wednesday, and I often stream twice on a Wednesday either way. So we'll probably do a bit of a bumper stream tomorrow. If I plan ahead, we might not take a break in the middle. We just might stream all day. We'll see. Ooh, what's this in the middle of the sea? Oh, this is one of the Lore Hunter ones. Aha. I, Watcher Galan, erect this monument to forever be a warning. The earthen shall know the wrath of the Titans if they defy their will again. From this day forward, they'll be bound more tightly to my will and that of the Titan overlords. If they again defy us, or the Titans no longer require their aid, they will be forcefully deactivated with extreme prejudice. Okay, now. Sounds like American politics. It's a good way of doing it. At least by the time we get where we want, people would hopefully have some knowledge instead of letting people ignore everything and buying it off the auction house. Auction house brain has been a thing for a while. My perspective on it is that those that don't wish to care about crafting shouldn't have to do half of the legwork that I feel is kind of a crafter's prerogative to do. So, you know, when it comes to caring about materials and material qualities and values of those material qualities and what's needed and what's not needed and all of that sort of stuff, that I feel is part of the crafter's job, right? It makes no sense to me whatsoever that somebody that's looking to buy a piece of gear has to first go to the auction house and is supposed to magically just know what quality materials they need when given 3 options: quality 1, quality 2, quality 3. How many people, when you see looking at doing orders, will go to the auction house to buy mats and they'll go, well, quality 1 and quality 2 are like substantially cheaper. I'll buy those and I'll give those to the crafter. And then the crafter turns around 5 minutes later and goes, sorry, mate, they've got to be Q3 or I can't do it. Why is that a thing? Like, it doesn't make any sense. You go to find a crafter because they're the expert. They're the person that knows what they're doing about crafting, in theory. They have the profession. They should know about the materials. What you want them to do is just give you a price. If I want this piece of gear, how much does it cost? That's what I think is really, there's a real disconnect there. There's a huge disconnect there with the way that the system works now. Now, I've received a lot of pushback for this when I've sort of
not quite right.
promoted that suggestion before. And the pushback is often that, oh, well, if you let goblins do it, you know, they'll be greedy. And I'm like, well, who the fuck do you think's selling you those materials on the auction house in the first place, you dumb? Right? It's kind of a false argument, in my opinion. And goblins are not ones setting the prices. The price is set by the market. If there's not enough supply of something, the price will rise. If there's an oversupply of it, the price will get pushed down. Goblins don't have really much to do with that generally. I think it should, like, as far as public orders should go, for example, people should be allowed to set the quality on them now. But secondly, I don't think anybody should have to provide any materials for a public order. Like, if you want a specific customization, you should be able to buy a missive that gives you that customization, and you as a player should be able to apply that to a piece of gear. The point of recrafting is just a bit of a crowbar in a way. You should just be able to buy a missive and use it on a piece of gear. Would that force some people to go along the lines of keeping a stack of missives in their bag and between pulls swapping out haste to crit or something? Sure, people do degenerate shit, but let people do degenerate shit if they want to. The reality is like recrafting is not super necessary. Plus, recrafting is also super convoluted. If a piece of gear is being crafted using concentration and lower tier materials, when you then go to recraft that piece of gear, it won't craft to the higher quality that people are expecting, and it causes so many confusions. We'll see this more next season. Season 2 will be the season where this all happens again, because it did it in Dragonflight, right? People were looking to get a recraft on a piece of gear, but they got it made with cheaper materials in Season 1, so when they go to recraft it in Season 2, they're just, you know, they have to then recraft it 2 or 3 times to get it back up to like top tier again. Unnecessary, not defined anywhere in the game. There's literally no reference as to why that's a thing. You just have to know it. And even crafters don't know how that works. Never mind the people who are looking to get that gear recrafted, who need the expertise of a crafter in the first place. Unnecessary. An awful lot of it completely unnecessary. Crowbarred in to enforce usage of the new work order system. But we're 2 expansions into having this work order system now. Blizzard have got to start taking a step back with this, because it's like half of it's completely unnecessary. There's a much easier, much better solution to most of the points of friction with crafting right now.
We must act to protect ourselves while
Guildmates don't touch professions with a 5-meter stick. They just buy the gold and then hop on to their next raid, Mythic Plus tier. Yeah. That's why Shadowlands crafting was the best. This is my hill and I'll die on it. Well, we were talking about this yesterday. I don't really want to sound too much like a broken record, because we went through all of this yesterday. But Shadowlands was on the right path, even though some things in Shadowlands were not great. The cost of base legendaries was too goddamn high, without question. The method that crafters had to go through to level them up only emphasized the fact that they were stupidly mega expensive when they really didn't need to be. So, you know, there was definitely some things that Shadowlands didn't get right, but the Crafter's Mark system was very well put together. The Crafter's Mark system was nearly there. And I think they should have built upon that Crafter's Mark system when they redid the crafting system. And in a way, they kind of have when you look at things like PvP gear, for example. PvP gear is done in a way so that, you know, whichever heraldries are they called? Whichever heraldry you use sort of determines the item level of the piece of gear. But the base craft is the same. But you still have to go through a work order in order to get that done. So they're kind of so close. They're kind of so close. And I reckon it must be frustrating for the devs as well. It must be frustrating for the devs because they're clearly told that they're clearly instructed to make something in a very specific way. That if we're going to spend the time, effort, money, resources on this new crafting system and new work order system, it has to be utilized by nearly everybody. Engagement in this new system has to be strong to justify the time, effort, and development costs of making it in the first place. Follow the money. I'm sure the devs are not looking at, you know, some of these solutions that have been put in place. Like the whole argument of quality on public orders it wasn't a very strong argument in Dragonflight because we didn't have the patron order system. But now that we have the patron order system, which ticks the box of allowing crafters to level up their profession from like 50 to 100, which was a huge point of contention. It's why people cared about public orders so much in Dragonflight. They cared about them because they needed them to level up their profession.
I hesitate to scavenge.
There's less kind of there's less discussion about it now because so many players don't technically need it because the patron order system kind of fills that gap. But now patron orders have filled that gap, they should remove the restrictions on public orders to allow people to define the quality on them. So I'm sure the Blizzard devs know this, and I'm sure there's people higher up than the base devs who code the game that are, you know, it has to be made like this.
To me, it seems that Kirintor
Missed a lot of the stream yesterday. How much did you end up making with the cards? I think the numbers ended up being, the grand total was about, oh no, I can't actually remember. We over doubled our money though. If you can ignore the amount of time it took to do it, we over doubled the money. So the reality is it's technically worth doing if you can AFK most of it.
For all the ground we gain, we lose people and history. Now, champion.
What was it? Earned 300k total, spent about 125. Yeah, something along those lines. That sounds about right.
That will do. I think I may need a moment to catch my breath.
This is where you end up with double the problem. You get annoyed players and spent resources in the development of something that has to be revamped anyway.
The Sun Reavers will defend what remains. I doubt if we can.
It's kind of a vicious cycle because once you get into that loop, it's hard to get out of it. Because yeah, you're right. It's like you're developing something twice. And this is what I tend to. This is what I tend to look at when looking at things like catch-up mechanics. If correct tuning was achieved to begin with, you wouldn't need so much catch-up or bad luck protection systems in the game. For the most part. And Blizzard seems to get themselves stuck in this loop of where they do just enough to launch a piece of content, and then they have to spend the same amount of time again fixing that piece of content. Whereas if they just spent a little bit more time in the first place and got it right first time, they could then say, this is fundamentally done, now we can focus on something else. And in Blizzard's early days, that's what they did. They didn't release a piece of content until it was mostly finished. Now, bug fixes and stuff, sure, whatever, but they were not like constantly rebalancing everything. And I tend to think now that class changes are such a massive circle jerk that Blizzard are constantly chasing their tail with class changes. In terms of, oh, we need to buff this class, but now because we've buffed this class, it's made this class feel weak, so we need to buff that class. And then they slowly buff all of the classes until they're within like 5 to 10% of each other, and then an expansion goes by, and then everybody complains that all the classes now have too many buttons, and then they have to reset them all, and it's just the constant cycle. And actually, you tend to see a lot of specs over a few years literally go in a complete circle. You know, that you'll have a new button is added, a new button is added, a new button is added, and then they take away a bunch of your buttons and you feel weak again, and everybody switches to a different class. And then they add a button to make it feel stronger again, and they add another button to make it feel stronger again. And then there's too many buttons and they go back again. It's kind of ridiculous.
Here, take this bag and start setting up camp.
It kind of just sort of feels like a lot of the development decisions are done not with a finite goal in mind, but with a mindset of let's just get this done so that it can be published, and we'll fix it later. But that fixing it later means you chase your tail, and then you get late on the next piece of content.
It's obvious what you really need is rest.
But we are seeing Blizzard getting slightly better. This 8-week cadence of content that they've now been trying to keep up with for an expansion and a half is definitely doing a lot better for them, I think.
In the darkest of times, we need the truest of
It's just, you know, Dragonflight was Dragonflight felt a bit rocky in terms of, I mean, the War Within launch hasn't been without its controversies, but they're getting better.
Just like a dragon, stubborn and a show-off.
Wonder how many people will be uninstalling add-ons. There is some UI changes, isn't there? Once I finish this little quest line, I want to have a full read through the patch notes. I wanted to give it an hour so that we could go through them together, so to say. Some decent UI changes, and the add-on management one, yeah. The events tracker does look quite cool, actually. That definitely looks like one that will be useful. Up until now, and there's a lot more stuff turning up on the map, isn't there? Up until now, add-ons like Handy Notes and TomTom have been almost mission critical at the beginning of an expansion or the beginning of a patch. And that's not to say that they won't still be mission critical, but it's kind of good to see Blizzard embedding as much of this as they can into the game.
The kobolds are definitely hoarding magical items here. I can sense them. I must admit, the sight of Dalaran reduced to rubble overwhelmed me. Though I put on a strong front for Aethys, I need a distraction. Something else to focus on.
Yeah, this little quest line doesn't take long. It feels so weird doing this because, like I said, I've done it all a couple of times on like test realms and stuff. But what so often happens is I test it on a PTR or something and then kind of forget to actually do it when it goes live. Which is why I often will just power through it. It's weird how I tend to go slightly more slowly, slightly more methodically through the test phases sometimes. And then when it's live, I just bang it out. Just watch how many people are going to notice that some add-ons are using a shitload of CPU. The good thing is that the devs of mods may now be working more on their add-ons for performance. I mean, I've always known that weak auras, like, some people's entire UI is built from just weak auras, and then I tend to also suspect that the reason they get 10 FPS half the time is because they've got a billion fucking weak auras doing shit. But, you know, there's never really been much to gauge what's going on in the game regarding add-ons. It's actually really surprising how well the game does run when you turn all your add-ons off. But nobody ever does that. It's so weird. It's really difficult from playing the game for 20 years and basically always using a big suite of add-ons to even contemplate how somebody learns to play this game without them. And progressively, as time goes on, I'm sure people's add-on, like people's UI just gets more and more and more and more and more bloated with add-ons. Mikey, how are you doing? Welcome in. Hope you're doing well. Looking forward to the patch. People are so bad at deleting old weak auras, I swear. Yeah, and even if they're just like passively loading in the background when you load in, like, it's no wonder some people's load times are like a minute long. It's always my first tip for people who whine about their performance. It's a good gauge. It's a good gauge. If you're getting less FPS and less performance than you think you should be, turn off all of your add-ons and go run a dungeon. Go run a follow-on with all your add-ons switched off, and then compare that to how it runs when you've got all your add-ons switched on. You'll probably notice a pretty sizable difference for some people.
Champion, did you find anything? May there be fairer skies ahead. Call on me again, and I will follow.
I've looked at nothing related to the patch at all. Hey, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Traces of spells I haven't seen used in years.
It's not necessarily a bad thing.
A curse! Hold on!
Dungeons not really a problem. Raids are more. Well, yeah, the issue with raids is you've got, you know, in some cases up to 40 people's processing, all slamming.
Call on me again. Perhaps that scroll holds the key to leaving.
Yeah, I'm going to take a bit of a deep dive into the patch notes in a minute anyway. So if you want to play catch up, we can play catch up together. After an extensive experimentation on rats, it's evident that I've reached the limitations of what can be learnt from them as test subjects. Poor rats. Release the soul.
Another shift. Keep doing what you're doing. Perhaps we'll shift out of here.
Brood on Mythic is an FPS fight. Yeah, I think, well, they have, you have two different settings options now, don't you? You have Outer World stuff and you have Raid and Dungeon settings. So at least people can sort of set up a Raid profile.
Ghouls. Like the ones in Northrend. But they're unstable. Are they a prototype?
It's not like I need much of an excuse, though, to buy new tech. I like my gadgets. Any excuse to buy an upgrade here, there, or somewhere, I'll take it. Sometimes it's difficult justifying those upgrades without good reason, so maybe, oh, I get 10 FPS in a raid is a good reason.
Enough! Did the council send
Shopping, go put a 5090. I would love to put a 5090 in my cart.
Careful. Even though that's a mirror image, you can still
Most of Finland is running on a flipping lottery-based system for 5080s and 5090s right now. The only way you can get them is by entering a lottery. Even the flipping retail stores are fucking gouging people. It's a bit of a joke, if I'm honest. Yet these retailers are seemingly have pre-built machines for 7,000 euros with 5080s in them. I'm like, you absolute scumbags. Stop reserving all of the items for your pre-builts and let people buy the flipping product. It annoys me. But, you know, we'll see.
Can you not see that? Very well. I just opened you a way out.
Let's go.
Somebody put a 5090 in my cart, I'll send them a hug in return.
Quickly,
Yeah.
before I change my mind and lock you here forever.
The irony is, though, is the retailers are gouging people on the price of the 5070 Ti's, and people aren't buying them. Like, people are calling the retailers bluff. They're not buying them. Like, this is a $750 MSRP card that stores in Finland are trying to sell for nearly 1,200 euros. People are not buying. They're sitting on the shelves. People aren't buying them. People are not gonna pay a 50%, more than 50% premium.
We're back.
So I'm hoping that forces the retailers to stop being fucking scumbags and maybe put some of their products on the shelves at reasonable prices. But as we know from Goblin activities, supply plus demand equals price. And there's clearly enough people willing to spend stupid money. Unfortunately, I love me some tech, but I also don't like being ripped off. Who are you? What are you doing up here? Since when were these fellas up here? Hello?
You found your light again.
Sort of. More like I stopped running from it. Before he died, my father wrote me a letter. He said that I had to fight for peace. I thought that I had to become him because the world still needed him. Because I still needed him. But taking up his sword only led to war and death. I made mistake after mistake. I felt...
I didn't know these two were chilling up here.
Varian Rin was a fierce, proud warrior. I respected his strength. But you, Anduin, you have your own strength. Greater than any.
The music probably doesn't quite go with the mood of this topic of conversation, but sure.
But he never expected me to be. That's why he wrote that letter. To remind me who I am. It was his final lesson. And his greatest gift.
Why can they talk to each other, but I can't talk to a blood elf? Jack, stop trying to get prices from blood elves for their services. Jesus, leave them alone. Step out of Golnshire Inn. Go find a female Tauren or something.
Caligos, it is good to see you.
Witness of the Kirin Tour. Oh, this actually gives you a title.
I will do what I
Didn't even realise.
The Alliance will.
Right, let's close some portals.
Have you spoken to Aethys at the outpost?
Not yet. I thought I was ready to see Dalaran's ruins again, but I arrived and just froze.
Why is Stanley out of stock again?
I never
don't
had
know.
a portal trap me that way. You saved my life, my friend.
You shouldn't be. Faithful dog requires the tiller's rep. Oh yeah, I forgot about this.
Jack the Dipper says, yeah, Allevi. Oh, Jack the Dipper. Always one for the mysterious messages. Yes, I am alive and well. Thank you for your concern. Just like your gaming skills, still kicking and ready to conquer. And hey, don't forget to check for a Twitch Prime.
Grief heals slowly, Aethys.
See? Stanley's alive.
And more will answer your missives in time. Champion, come with me. We will deal with the Nerubians ourselves.
Space is enough to stuff up AI. Hey, he got it. He got it. He understood. Not enough coffee beans? I'm quite sure Innkeeper's got plenty of coffee beans. Don't ask me why I keep flying through these and picking them up. Maybe it's because the allure of free resonance crystals is hard to turn down, I don't know. I saw a scary number the other day. I was like, oh, I got like nearly 50k resonance crystals. That's huge. And then I looked how many I need for all the things, and it said 353,000. I was like, holy. I'm like 1/6, not even 1/6 of the way there. I was like, Jesus. Back into my favourite zone of Ashgahet. Oh, here we go.
A mana bomb. This is a worst-case scenario. And we only have ourselves to blame. Disentangle the bomb's power sources while I suppress it. We cannot
Get the
allow
sheep.
the mana bomb to detonate.
Get the sheep. Untangle, untangle, untangle. Bah. Detangle you. What are we still missing? What's this debuff? Each one is like a ticking time bomb, edging closer to critical mass. Apart from none of them actually go boom.
Now, champion, realign the mana bomb's matrix.
Click the boom! Click the boom! Well, that was easy. Okay, 4 more to go. You go down there, you go down there. Oh shit. You go down there. Swap use out. Swap use out. Boom. Beautiful. Whew. Disarmed the bomb. We are safe.
The way forward will not be easy. A single spark can set the world aflame.
We're going to be capped on flipping Valor Stones again from doing this.
A single spark can set... This bomb should not have been built. Kirintor leadership is to blame, but we are all complicit and must atone for it. I will dispose of the bomb, destroy the other artifacts, and meet me in the Tranquil Strand.
How many more? Two more. One. Where's the last one? Up here? Turns out rockets don't do very well in the water, apparently. They be slow. Oh, half back, sure. Why have I got pumpkin on my head all of a sudden? Oh, because I'm using the Headless Horseman's Hearthstone. I forget that Zygore's Hearthstone picks a random one. I was like, why have I been pumpkins? Actually, let's clean our bags a little bit and get rid of some of this trash.
Many deals for a friend of the Grummles. Like you. Farewell, friend of the Grummles.
Wait, there's a quest here. What's this?
Great
Hello?
to meet you.
Wait, what? Kalimdor Cup is up and running. When was that? When did that start? Did that start last week? Oh no, it starts today. Huh. I didn't even realise Kalimdor Cup starts today. Cheerleader will love that. Okay. I forgot that that was a thing.
It's good fortune.
Did I pick up anything I wanted? I was somewhat reluctant to pick up this love stick because we got the other love stick and it's just a recolor of an existing love stick. But amount's amount, I suppose. I wanted the pets, didn't I? Pet number 1. Pet number 2. Yeah, I don't think I care for that. Nor for the wand.
Safe travels, hero.
So we've got the pet and the mounts. Where's the other dudes while I'm randomly here?
I ain't got it. You don't want it.
Buttercup. Buttercup. This pet we're missing. I should have probably mapped this out before I went on a spending spree, but, you know, what are you going to do?
Yeah, what do you want?
Okay, I can get both the mounts. Both the mounts at a slight discount. I technically don't need the Spectral Tiger Cub because I've already got them. But Egg Bob. Ah, no! I'm short some tendies. I'm short some tendies to get Egg Bob. Poor Egg Bob. You'll have to wait, my friend. You'll have to wait.
Big shot, huh?
Surprise, surprise.
Security,
I'm like 2% away from getting all of the ones I wanted. Alright, sure. Let's move on. I will get to patch notes in a minute, honestly. Buy 600 tendies from the shop with the BattleNet balance. Yeah, true. Is that still in the shop? Which one is it? I don't know which one it is. It's one of these, isn't it? Yeah, there you go. $30 for 2 more sweepers and 600 coins.
More mages have arrived in our absence, champion. That is heartening to see. I know what must be done.
Yo, Khadgar's got wheels. You want a rocket, mate?
As always,
You want a rocket, mate?
much to discuss.
Everyone brought a memento of someone we lost to commit to the ocean.
What? Which boat does it go on?
No matter how painful, we must embrace change as we honor those we have lost.
We must acknowledge our past errors and correct our course.
As we send them off, we let
Okay.
go of the past to
Let's do
face
it.
the future and become stronger.
See you later, boat. Ah! Broke it. Let's all do it together. Jazz hands. Oh, you can't see me. I'm behind the camera. I look so stupid there in my Murloc suit. So, clearly, I did not get the memo about dress wear for such an occasion.
I'm glad to see you still in the thick of things.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
what now?
We rebuild, but not just brick and mortar. We need changes to our foundation. To us.
Agreed.
Why did they give Khadgar a
Must move
wheelchair
forward with intention.
when he could have a
Learn from
floating
the
disc
mistakes
one?
We were too prideful to before.
Well, he's got a floating
I
wheelchair.
admit I was blinded
This
by the ivory
needs to be a
towers of
mount in the
Dalaran.
game. Let's make a stand for maximum inclusivity. There should be a moggable wheelchair in
The
game.
new Kirin tour will be different.
We don't want
more
no
castles, no more floating
anti-ableist
cities, and no more
agendas in this
meddling
game.
World affairs.
Then we are all in agreement.
Somebody had a really good idea.
For the
Oh
Kirin
dear.
tour. For all
That
of
they
us.
did.
Good,
Really good.
because this old man is tired.
Right. Patch notes time. Let's have a little look at the patch notes. In fact, before patch notes time, it's a quick break. A quick break. We'll have a little bit of a look through the patch notes. Some of you guys can probably get a head start on the read if you so wish. I'll put the link in chat for the official patch notes. If you want to go and have a little bit of a blast through them ahead of time, but we'll have a little look through these in a minute. Yeah, give me 2 minutes, stretch my legs, grab a drink, and we'll be back in 2. Oh, well that was good timing, wasn't it? That was basically perfect timing. Goldston, my man, welcome in. Welcome in. Thank you very much for the raid. I appreciate it. Welcome, welcome. You've caught us just as we're about to go through the patch notes for tomorrow. Well, I forget you live in the future, don't you? So you might have already done this. But thank you very much for the raid. Boys and girls, if you haven't checked out Goldston, he's recently switched all his alts to enchanting, I think. So it's worth checking out both his YouTube content and his stream. Let's have a little bit of a look at these official patch notes then. There's probably quite a lot to go through here. There might be some sections that I might kind of like shave just because, you know, class changes, for example. It's probably worth people diving into them themselves. Right, so welcome to the Undermine. In fact, have we got a just pause the tunes just a minute because there's a chance here that this has got some audio we should listen to. Why the hell not? Why the hell not? That one, I reckon.
These stoneheads droning on and on about rats.
Actually, they are minerals.
Then come on down to Undermine, a place where dreams are manufactured and sold to the highest bidder.
That's not the slogan.
We got beautiful beaches. Just don't go underwater. Or in the water.
We got fast cars. Don't ask where we got the pots.
We got dance parties.
Paved streets with real trees. What? What was trees?
Rivers of questionable substance.
Seedy alleyways.
Wait, why are we showing the seedy alleyways?
Mountains of garbage.
No, don't show the garbage. How about our glamorous intercontinental hotel?
Or our exotic cuisine. Long lines means it's good, right?
We got shopping.
Golf.
This shirt.
Oh, that golf.
And a giant robot T-Rex fighting a giant cyborg gorilla.
And don't forget about the luxurious Galagio, a monument to our brilliant leader, Jaster Galliwick, shining bright right in the heart of our city.
And if you want to do some business, you can always see what the local cartel's got cooking. Just don't do anything to undermine Galliwicks. That definitely went in well for you.
Oh no, you'll end up in the sink.
Hey, look at the bright light, so pretty. Visit Undermine today.
Bring gold.
This advertisement paid for by Jaster Gallowix.
I've not seen that before. That's actually pretty cool. That's a good way of showcasing it. Very goblin-esque. I like that. I appreciate that. That was quite cool. Deep into the Goblin City of Undermine, the capital city of the Goblins' trade empire, is a city like no other we've seen before in World of Warcraft, and it stands as a testament to Goblin intelligence and creativity as experts in both technology and alchemy. The irony that there's absolutely fucking zero alchemy changes coming in the patch. As our adventures continue, we'll learn more about Goblin culture and society that we have never been able to see before. We'll learn what is important to them and the problems that they are trying to solve, everything that makes them truly unique and what they're capable of as a society. We'll dig a bit deeper beyond just the humour and the explosions, though there will still be explosions and a lot of mayhem. Cool. Good. Any changes to professions other than new crests? All in good time, my friend. We will get there. Professions are on this list. Carve out a rewarding career in Undermine cartels. We got another little...
Hey, you must be new in town. Well, don't you worry. I got the lowdown on a who's who in Undermine. And just for a couple thousand gold, I'll fill you in. Deal? I'll take that as a yes. You see, Undermine's all about business. That's why we got cartels. First, you got Bilgewater.
I can't be the only one listening to this on headphones thinking, what the fuck is going on, right? Is the audio bouncing between left and right for anybody else in this?
Their trade prince is Monty Gaslow. They're the ones you go to when you want something to go boom. They're also good at building stuff, too. Innovation, engineering, construction, the works. You can find their headquarters right here in Hovel Hill. And then you got Steamweedle, oldest and largest of the cartels. Their trade prince is Marin Noggenfogger, best known for his elixirs and potions. They specialize in fuel, poisons, chemicals, alchemy, you name it. Their base of operations is the one surrounded by all the glowing goop in the Vatworks. Next, we have Blackwater.
That's where the fishing vendor was that isn't there anymore.
Seriously, they rarely bathe, and they're pirates. Their leader is Baron, Trade Prince Revelgaz. They operate primarily out of Booty Bay, but now they got a spot right here in the Blackwater Marina as a bona fide cartel. They used to spend most of their time hassling shipping and receiving, but now they are shipping and receiving. Problem solved. Finally, we got Venture. They got their HQ over in the Heaps. It's a dump. No, literally, it's an actual dump. If you can dig it up, chop it down, blow it out of a mountain, Venture will do it. And they got some of the best heavy machinery this side of that giant sword. They don't got no trade prince per se, but Grimla Fizzlecrank hands out the jobs these days, and she's alright in anyone's book. And there you have it, kid. Throw your lot in with any of the cartel, and you'll be well on your way to mountains of cash. Just always remember to pay your dues. For instance, that'll be 2,000 gold. Hey, where you going? You'll fit right in, kid.
Other than what feels like terribly bad audio editing on that, these little adverts are quite cool. Right, so whilst in the Undermine then, you'll meet the 4 major goblin cartels, the Bilgewater, the Steamweedle, the Blackwater, and the Venture Co. Notorious goblins like Monty Gaslow, Baron Rivengas, Marin Noggenfogger, and more run each of the cartels. A secret 5th cartel awaits in the wings for players to learn a little bit about later. I really hope there's something interesting with this. I'm intrigued. Colour me intrigued. Which of these cartels you align with is up to you. Your experience will change with the Undermine depending on which one you choose each week. So, much like in Ashgahet, you'll get to align yourself with a cartel each week. And they might offer some bonuses for doing so. Led by Monty Gaslow, the Bilgewater, this cartel is the home to some of the brightest goblins, including inventors and explosive geniuses. Their base is in the Bilgewater Flats near the Demolition Dome. Steamweedle, under the leadership of Marin Noggenfogger, this cartel is the oldest and largest in an Undermine, focusing on premium-grade alchemy. They can be found in the Vatworks area. Spoiler alert, there's actually nothing to do with alchemy with these guys, from what I can clarify. Not that I've looked in recent times, but there's nothing particularly fancy going on, I don't think. Headed by Baron Trade Prince Rivelgas, the Blackwater cartel. This newer cartel exists in shipping and luxury vacations. Their operation is in the Blackwater Marina. And the Venture Co., known for its resource acquisition methods, operates over in the Heaps. Oh, a little intro to Drive. I like the effort they've put into these little intros, you know, these little commercials.
Hot rods, get your hot rods. Introducing the new G99 Breakneck, the ride that'll make you the talk of the town. This four-wheel roadster can go from 0 to really fast in a matter of seconds. Just click the boost button on your toolbar, and you can go from looking like this to this. Each car comes with a boost meter, so make sure you hug those tight corners by holding spacebar to drift and recover your meter. And if this is your first time driving, this car is practically indestructible, so don't worry if you miss the roads from time to time. This sweet ride boasts all the features your other rides may be lacking. Sorry, Chester. It's got shiny headlights,
Get wrecked, Chester.
steel rims, exhaust, reverse lights, a fiery engine, and this thing. Can't decide what color to get? Well, you don't have to. Just talk to the big guy to change the color of your vehicle. And guess what? You can also switch out the internal mechanics to make sure you have the best driving experience. Look, donuts!
Oh, I actually like that. Look, donuts. That's quite cool. A cool acronym needed a cool meaning, and the goblins haven't skimped on the meaning of Drive. Stands for Dynamic and Revolutionary Improvements to Vehicular Experiences. You'll want to make sure you have your sweet ride to stroll around town in. Players can customize, can earn the customizable G99 Breakneck vehicle to use exclusively in their adventures within Undermine. Yes, that does mean that you can't take your G99 anywhere else with you, unfortunately. You'll push the boundaries of locomotion on the road, speeding through its causeways and byways at a higher rate than a regular ground mount can. As part of the progression with your car, you'll meet up with Nanny Tallulah, who will send you out on a shipping and handling jobs to earn some rewards. Players can adjust the car's characteristics, such as adjusting its colour or by buying parts to add a little extra grip to hug the roads or to adjust its slide and glide as they drift around corners. Want to accelerate faster? Then you may have to sacrifice a little speed. How you customise your car's character is up to you. This does tie in with engineering. There is a new engineering recipe to make a component for the Drive cars. This is one of the recipes you can unlock for engineering. Once again, I tend to believe it's Renown 5 to be able to pick it up for your engineers. Cars are too difficult to drive for casual players. Those will probably use normal mounts. Yeah, I mean, of course, yeah, you can still use normal mounts. It'll just be slower. I wasn't overly impressed with the Drive system when I first tested it. I'll reserve my judgment until we play it tomorrow to see if they've adjusted much of the frustrations for me. Apparently, they have done quite a lot of work on the Drive system since it was first landed on the PTR. So we'll see. I still fundamentally feel that it's far too small of a zone for such a high-speed ground-based transport, but as long as it feels sort of crash kart racing level of fun, then sure, we'll do it. Obviously, there's the new mount, the Liberation of the Undermine Raid. Despite the best efforts of the United Cartels, Gallywix has holed himself away in the Galagio and called in every favour ever owed to him, leaving a mountain of would-be oppressors between the Goblins of Undermine and the Chrome King. Gazlo and the rest of the Goblin kind will need to find their way into the Galagio to rid themselves of Gallywix for good. Now, unlock schedule. Let's have a little look at this then. Week of March the 4th, we get Raid Finder Wing 1, Shock and Awesome. That gives you the Cauldron of Carnage and Rick Reaver bosses. Normal, Heroic, and Mythic all launch at the same time. So everything goes live in one go. On March the 11th, we get Raid Finder Wing 2. Story mode kicks in. So you might have to... Well, story mode will showcase you the end boss in week 2, which feels weird because you then still have to wait to get Wing 3 and Wing 4 via Raid Finder. So you can do story mode faster than you can do it via Raid Finder. I hate this. I've hated this for years and I still hate this now. There's like, Raid Finder's meant to be the easy mode difficulty. Just let people do it. Why time gate it? Like, it's no point. But yeah, either way, they're going to drip feed you Raid Finder. Outside of that, you get everything normal. Every regular difficulty, launches week 1 and story mode week 2. The new dungeon, Operation Floodgate. Why? Money. Yeah, oh yeah, of course. Follow the money, of course, yeah. It's a race against time to stop the Dark Fuse in the Venture Co. from sabotaging a dam that would have disastrous effects on the Ringing Deeps. Operation Floodgate is a 4-boss dungeon in the Ringing Deeps and will be available across Heroic, Mythic, and Mythic Plus difficulties. Okay. So no normal mode, no follower dungeon mode for Operation Floodgate by the seams of things. That's a surprise. So it's a level 80. I guess with it being heroic, it makes it level 80 only as well. I'd not tested the new dungeon. I look forward to giving it a go, actually, you know. I enjoy having a blast through the new dungeons. There's the Cage of Carnage PvP arena. Found in the Demolition Dome, the Cage of Carnage is a close-quarter gladiatorial arena where players are dropped in through trapdoors, separated only by haphazard metal platform equipped with ramps at every corner. This map is available in arenas and rated solo shuffle as well. Just let them flood the Ringing Deeps, I wouldn't mind. I don't mind the Ringing Deeps. It's probably my 3rd favourite zone of the 4, but there is definitely worse out there than the Ringing Deeps. Right, take on some new challenges in the War Within Season 2 with the new raid, the new delves, an updated rotation of challenging Mythic Plus dungeons, and of course the new PvP season. This season also features familiar exclusive rewards such as Ahead of the Curve and Cutting Edge achievements for raids, Keystone Master achievements, reward for Mythic Plus, and Gladiator rewards for PvP. Some new class sets. We've got Death Knight's normal and heroic sets, Demon Hunters, green. The right hand one is the mythic one, PvP Elite Prize Gladiator leather armor set. Druid ones, left you've got your normal mode and the mythic version on the right. Evokers, Raid Finder set, and the PvP Elite Gladiator set on the right. Left, we've got normal Undermine and the PvP Elite Prize Gladiator Chain Armor set on the right. Is it just me? It could very well just be me, so feel free to tell me it's just me if it is. But do people not care anywhere near as much about class sets anymore? Are we finally at the point where people don't really care about class sets because transmog is just so transmog is so prominent, people have their favourite set and they stick with it. They look pretty rubbish, they're so ugly. Everybody ends up looking like a space robot. I guess. I mean, they've gone far out with the monks one though, by the looks of things. I only get on the tier set mogs, at least from LFR and Normos. It's so easy to get them. Change the system so instead of a set token, it drops an enchant or a rune that you can just keep embedding over and over on your gear. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly what the play is. That paladin one's quite cool. Rogues just look dumb. Shaman, lightning shaman one. Of course, it's the mythic set. Looks pretty good. I don't know. I'd need to look at these in more detail, but I tend to really think that these days people are going off really caring about these class sets particularly, and it must be disheartening for the art team, but I don't really see anywhere near the same level of enthusiasm from others for collecting all the sets anymore. But yeah, I'm not sure. Either way, they're there. The new class sets will be available for players to collect. Each set consists of a total 9 pieces, and a 2 and 4 piece bonuses can be gained by owning any combination of the chest, hands, legs, head and shoulder pieces. They bring out 15 plus sets each patch. It's just too many. Overload is probably an issue for sure. I would imagine. The new dungeon rotation though. War Within Season 2, new rotation. 5 dungeons from the War Within, 3 from previous. We've got Operation Floodgate, the new dungeon. Cinderbrew Meadery, the Rookery and the Dark Flame Cleft. With Priory of the Sacred Flame. They're the 5 new ones. And then we got the Motherlode, Mechagon and Theatre of Pain. I don't know how Theatre of Pain, like obviously Motherlode and Mechagon make a lot of sense, but I don't know how Theatre of Pain fits in there. Blizzard have said that they try to like make sure that most grounds are covered when they put these together, so there must be something about Theatre of Pain. Theatre of Pain must offer something that these ones don't for it to be in there, but I couldn't tell you what it is. All relatively recent ones as well. They missed Nomagon. I think Nomagon as a Mythic Plus dungeon would cause a mass cancellation of subscriptions, I tend to feel. Nomagon is one of those really divisive dungeons, I would imagine. But yeah, in theory, like thematically, Mechagon makes sense. Yeah, I just don't know how it would work in a Mythic Plus environment. One of the reasons I'm not the biggest fan of Mythic Plus, because it means that I tend to think that they're less creative with their dungeons because of it. But the Shredder mount looks pretty good though. The Enterprising Shredder tank, that's quite a cool looking mount. This is the new seasonal rewards for Mythic Plus includes the new titles, the Enterprising and the Enterprising Hero, Dungeon Teleports and 2 mounts, the Crimson Shredder tank and the Enterprising Shredder tank. This is the Enterprising one. New Delves and a new Delver's Journey. Excavation Site 9 and Side Street Sluice. Is that how you pronounce that? We'll go with Sluice. It's like juice, but with slush. The launch of Undermined will introduce 2 new Delves, the Side Street Sluice and Excavation Site 9, along with a new tank spec for Bran. Delves in Season 2 will introduce new rewards, new curios. I'm intrigued to see how these work. I didn't test Delves on the PTR. The new curios could be interesting to collect. New variants to the previous Delves, a new Nemesis, and improved rewards at the highest of difficulties. Season 2 will also increase the difficulty of all Delves from Tier 4 and above. Along the Delver's Journey progression, unlock customizations for your Delver's Globetrotter, the newest Delve mount obtainable during Season 2, along with the Delvobot 7001, a toy that delivers you to a random Oh, that's clever. A toy that delivers you to a random bountiful Delve. Okay. Because clearly flying to a bountiful Delve was too much like friction for people to bother doing it after a while. I wonder if it has a 1 week cooldown. Who knows? Who knows? Theatre is a boss-heavy dungeon, kind of unlike the others. That could be a justification for it, maybe, yeah. Treat your warbands to a fresh place to set up their camp with new underground campsite scene, the Nightfall Sanctum, unlocked once the Season 2 Delver's Journey is complete. Holy. Alright, sure. We got the new Delver's Gobtrotter mount. Kind of colourful, kind of goblin-y, like it. Annoyingly, the gold one, it's very goblin, isn't it? It's very goblin. Goblins don't particularly have too many, like, proper gold mounts. This is certainly one to chase after. I think, maybe. I might put a little bit more effort into the Delve Season 2 this time. Just for this one. This one seems kind of cool. If only it was a giant money bag. Yeah, a giant money bag with 5 slots for multi-boxes. That'd be wonderful. This is the new PvP season. Prized Gladiator Fellbat mount and the Vicious Electro Eels. Faction-specific ones. New season brings in a new PvP ladder, increased item level, gear, and new rewards. The arena title, the Prized Gladiator. Rated Solo Shuffle title, Prized Legend. Rated Battleground Blitz title, Prized Marshal or Prized Warlord for the Horde. And a new Weapon Illusion, Jackpot, Tabard, Cloak, Penance, Weapon Appearances, Prized Gladiator, Fellbat, and new Vicious Mounts, Alliance and Horde themed Electro Eels. So if you're into PvP, there's a few things to chase after. The Gobfather World Boss. This is the new world boss over in the new zone. Once the source of pride for the Bilgewater Cartel, this mech was a force to be reckoned with in the Demolition Dome, a pinnacle of goblin innovation, until somebody forgot to give it an oil change. Now the king of the Demo Dome has gone haywire, running amok and threatening to unleash havoc upon the citizens of Undermine. So we get to kill that dude once a week. Right, class changes. I know there are substantial amounts of class changes, but it's far too much like hard work to go through all of the class changes. I would highly recommend having a read through your main class if you want to get the gist of things. Because this section is always plus 5% here, minus 4% here. You know, there's lots of tweaks and adjustments going on. Even though Hunter's my main class, I'm not going to read these through on stream. I will take a little bit of a peruse in my leisure. Where do we get to the end of the class changes? There's always millions of these. If I wanted an 8-hour stream, I'd go through all of these in detail, but I don't think anybody wants that. Not from me, at least. Priests, are these in alphabetical order? Means rogues, shamans, and warriors should be coming up soon. Warlocks, warriors. Nearly there. No, right, okay, delves, here we go. New variants of almost all of the War Within delves, with the majority of them being goblin themed. I look forward to going and doing all of these again. I hope they add some sort of achievement to track which ones you've done and which ones you haven't, otherwise I will forget. But new variations is cool, love to see that. New Delver's Journey. Bran has now a tank role, which looks pretty fun to play with. We're aiming to make healing a more viable and engaging option for soloing delves. Bran relies on his allies, scavenged advanced technology, and his trusty shotgun to charge into the front lines. He has a pistol shot, shoots an enemy. He has a shield bash, and a boomstick blitz. Bran uses his shotgun to blast his enemies. As a hunter, I'm still not convinced that tank is that useful to me, because my pet mostly does the tanking anyway. With my style of play, Bran has always been more useful as a healer, to be honest, and I probably don't think that will change much for me. But if you do main a healer, at least it gives you a little bit more flexibility. He has new talents then. Veteran of Ironforge. Should we try and figure out which one is going to be the big guns? Pistol shield wears in battle, providing a damage reduction per stack. As the shield gets damaged, Bran's survival instinct kicks in, increasing his damage dealt, and when the shield gets worn out, he switches to his trusty shotgun. Bronzebeard Brown Bear summons a bear, charges into battle, launching enemies up in the air. The bear then prepares a series of stomps, dealing damage, forming an area that increases dodge chance and increasing maximum health. That sounds quite cool. Electrocharge gadget. Brand's equipment is enhanced with cutting-edge tech upgrades. Effective healing done to Bran pulsates as nature damage to nearby enemies. So this maybe is more focused for healers to heal Bran, and that does passive damage as well, which is quite clever. Each shot discharges an electrical current, arcing through nearby enemies and reducing their attack speed. Healing Bran supercharges this pistol to deal more damage. And the electrocharged shotgun, each enemy hit has a chance to be knocked down. Healing Bran supercharges his shotgun with more damage. Oh, I kind of like that then. I like that healers can just, you know, tunnel heals into Bran, and Bran will just slowly but surely kill everything. There's a fine line though between I don't know. How do you prevent healers from just being Biss in Delves? I don't know. It's weird. I wonder if he will scale differently with those people who are set as the healer role. Yeah, I'm not sure. It could very well be that like classes that have healer and push their Bran have an easier time at the top end, but that's countered by the fact that they probably have a bit of a harder time and a slower time getting there. So I guess it's all fair. Neat rope trick. When an enemy attacks a player, Bran throws his lasso, pulling the enemy back to him. Same enemy cannot be lassoed more than once within 10 seconds. He has a sentry totem that will nullify up to 3 harmful spells and boost combat capabilities of allies within the area. He does a big slam, leaps into battle with concussive force, dealing damage and taunting enemies nearby. He has a lightning link. Bran generates an electro link that transfers damage done to nearby alloys to himself. And a survivor's journal, paragon ability. Bran's combat mastery grants him increased health and healing received. Alright, cool. Dwarven medicine will now give 15% damage reduction. The healing over time effect has been increased by 50%. Steel traps now increase the damage that the target takes by 20%. Healer Bran now has reduced threat generation. An issue with Bran's epic egg not summoning a devil saw has been resolved. I never noticed that. The devil saw was quite cool though. Welcome in, Pag B, by the way. Welcome in. During Season 2, complete Tier 11 Bountiful Delves to earn Gilded Undermine Crests up to 3 times a week, which actually relates to 18 Gilded Undermine Crests, I believe. 18 a week is the potential. Really drip feeding those top tier crests to players. I've had mixed emotions about this. I personally thought Delves sort of worked as intended anyway. I tended to see Delves as something that you would blast at the beginning of the patch. And I enjoyed the fact that Delves gave players a little bit stronger gear than they would do normally. I'm weirdly against this. I'm weirdly against this from the perspective that it means that those players who don't do top end stuff, it was quite let me put it this way, it was quite nice at the beginning of the season to blast a bunch of delves. I could focus on doing my delves, but there came a point where I was like, right, okay, now I don't need to be running delves every single week. I've done all of the delves, I've done them all multiple times. The fun of just running delves was depleting pretty quickly. And it was nice to get to the point where I could say, right, well, I'm not going to get any more gear from delves. I can go and do them if I want to. I can go and do them if I want to continue my seasonal journey. But it kind of was nice to get to a point where I could say, right, I'm done with delves. This, unfortunately, is going to put that carrot on the stick for players to get drip-fed a disgustingly small amount of top-tier crests, which will put delves back on that to-do list for everybody every week. This feels... Now, I know it's difficult to say, oh, here's better gear, and how that saying here's the option for better gear can be a negative. But this kind of puts it in the category of Torghast for me, where players are going to look at this and go, well, I need to go get my gilded under... I need to do 3 tier 11s every week just because it's bonus crests. And everybody knows that everybody's always limited by their crests. So this is clearly an engagement play, distracted as a, here's an option for some better gear. I liked the fact that I could get to a point where I would say, no, I've done the delves and I'm happy to not do delves anymore. We'll see how this plays out, but delves are the easiest vault too. True. Uh, 11 delves will probably be scaled higher than +7 keys, is my guess. I try not to compare one avenue of gear progression with another, because there's pros and cons, right? You know, even if the scaling is higher, there's the advantage of the fact that you do it solo. You do it whenever the hell you want. You methodically work your way through it if you wish, not relying on anybody else. Much like it's very difficult to compare Mythic Plus to like Mythic Raiding. It's just a different game. Was there a mention of if we can do delves starting after today's reset? We can. I think that comes up in a minute. You can't go straight. You can't go elbow deep straight away. Difficulty levels of tier 9, 10, and 11 have been lowered in Season 2. So it should be easier to complete your 9, 10s, and 11s. But I still don't think an 11 is going to be as easy as an 8 is now. In Season 1, tiers above 8 were meant purely for players who wanted the challenge. Now that we have more desirable rewards, such as Gilded Crests on Bountiful Tier 11, we wanted to review the difficulty level of these tiers, along with our philosophy behind them. We'd previously balanced them with the thought that a Tier 11 would be a challenge for all players in the game, even up to high Mythic levels. In Season 2, we're changing our philosophy for Tier 11 to be the highest challenge for Delve players, which means it is balanced around what fully upgraded gear players can get within the Delve ecosystem as opposed to the entire game. This is another way of saying we want players to continue the need to do delves past the point where gear matters. This just refers back to my previous point, and that they want people to continue doing delves, and so they're going to drip feed you crests to make people feel obliged to do at least 3 tier 11s every week. 11 is boring, not a challenge. This is also the issue with delves. Like, anybody can probably stroll through and do a 12. You just have to like slowly grind it. This is the thing, right? Yeah, mobs become bullet sponges. They just end up with so much health. But as long as you don't die, they will eventually. It's difficult. It's difficult. This feels like an engagement play for me, because they clearly noticed in Season 1 that there was a point where, boom, people stopped doing delves. People were doing delves, lots of delves. Boom, people stopped doing them as soon as they hit like the gear limit. This basically means that there's that, what would often be referred to as a stretch goal, a permanent reason for you to do it, even though the rewards don't really justify the effort. But because gilded Undermine crests are going to be the bottleneck for basically all players throughout the entire season, this is always going to be something that's on the list. Oh, I need to do my 3 11s this week. I need to do my 3 11s this week. You'll see it. Trust me. People will be like, shit, I've got to do my 3 11s because it gives me 18 crests. You know? it will unfortunately, I think, put delves in the category of like jobs list, which I would like to have not have seen. I know I've said this already, but I preferred the season 1 approach where you would do delves to a certain point, and the point in which you had seen every variation of the delve, right? So each delve had like 3 different stories. By the time you'd actually done enough delves to see all of the different stories, you were quite quickly getting to the point where the gear rewards from them also slowly stopped being that beneficial. And it was nice to just be able to go, okay, delves were quite cool, leave them alone, I'll do them again next season. This is adding a grind that I'm not sure was necessary and feels just like, feels engagement play. Because the reward isn't strong enough to justify doing 3 tier 11s when you don't really need to. Now, if tier 11s end up being as easy as tier 8s now, then sure, fine. But it's still something that players are going to be like, oh, I need to do my 3 delves this week. Once they're like, once the natural gear that you get from delves isn't worth, and you're doing it just for those gilded crests, because that will always be people's bottleneck, it'll just be a chore, and I don't, not a fan, honestly. The Delver's bounty maps now reward gear with the item level of the tier that the map is completed in, instead of being tied to a specific delve tier. Delver's bounty drop rate has been increased, but are now only obtainable once a week. Another engagement play. So instead of being able to blast through delves as many of them as you want in your time frame, now you can only get 1 Delver's bounty drop a week. So even if you want to blast it at the beginning of the season, no. You must come back next week to get your bonus rewards. I'm not a fan of these changes, honestly. I'm not a fan of these changes. The tank Bran, really cool. Adding new stories, really cool. That unnecessary drip feed and grind with the allure of a small handful of gildeds, I think is very sneaky. I thought they were respecting players' time these days. No. No. No, if you wanted to grind out your bounty maps in season 1, you could just go ham. You could continue to work on you do your bountiful delves every day, work on your journey, get a few bonus maps. Doing the bonus maps, would give you what was, I think, a 610 piece of gear in season 1. It was a nice little bonus reward for the extra grind you were putting in. Now it's no. You can only get 1 of those a week. You'll be doing delves anyway to farm tinder boxes. Yeah. We'll see. This offers a positive alternative to people that don't want to go elsewhere for gilded crests. Surely if people want more efficient gilded crests, they will go to Mythic Plus. Even people that do Mythic Plus will still look at those delves as something that... Because 18 crests is 18 crests, right? 18 crests is 18 crests. Like, stack that up over a handful of weeks. All of a sudden, those 18 crests become a few upgrades. They start to become, which is why it is put on people's jobs list to do. This is the thing I think is concerning for it more than anything else. That players that do, for those exact players, those players that would often surpass the need to continuously grind delves and could choose to live in their Mythic Plus keys and whatever, extra crests is still extra crests. Those players are going to feel like they're obligated to then go and do those 3 tier 3 level 11s by, by proxy of the fact that, well, more crests is more. Whereas previously, you would get to a certain point where you don't need to go and do those delves unless you actually enjoy running the delves. Anyway, let's have a little look at Mythic Plus then. Baseline Mythic, also known as Mythic 0, will now award champion track gear from each of the bosses with a weekly instance lockout. The health and the damage of enemies in those dungeons has been increased to reflect the improved rewards, whilst keeping Mythic 0 an accessible point of entry for players beginning their Season 2 journey. Those looking to earn dungeons in a lower stake environment. Sure. For Mythic 2 through till 10, each new level will now increase the health and damage of enemies by 7%, down from 10%. Per level scaling will remain at 10% from Mythic 11 onwards. The requirements to achieve some key reward tiers have been reduced. Hero track gear is now available in end of chest from Mythic 6 dungeons. Gilded crests are available only from Mythic 7s and up. Keystones will be set to Mythic level 2 at the start of Season 2. 3,000 rating. That's gone up, hasn't it? Has that gone up? Keystone Legend? I'm pretty sure it wasn't 3,000 last season. But you get the Enterprising Shredder tank, which was this one up here, wasn't it? Where's it gone? Oh, it was probably miles up now. We're not scrolling all the way up there. Finish all 8 of the seasonal dungeons with a timed 12 key. The new floor will be 13 and so on for all key levels above 12. Keystone from the weekly vault will not decay below a level 12. Keystones can still be lowered below level 12 by speaking to Lindormi. Players will get a quest, a Challenger's Resilience, once they've timed all the dungeons at plus 12 that unlocks the system and teaches them how resilient Keystones works. Okay, I don't fully understand the implications of that because I don't do too much Mythic Plus, but that seems like people that want to just push keys don't have to worry about their key randomly being depleted. But I also don't know how many of those players are, I don't know, living in pugs anyway. Do the delve crests also count towards the seasonal cap, or are they on a different track? If it's the latter, then yeah, key pushes will push delves. If not, it's not worth it. It does depend how they do that, because we've often seen like crest rewards, for example, are allocated differently to the seasonal cap. Maybe the seasonal cap will mean that people will just run a couple more Mythic Plus dungeons instead. But I still think if you're reasonably well geared for Mythic Plus, so much so that doing 11s is not that much of a chore, you've still got the advantage of that you can log on at any point during the week, and if your crew of 4 other people you often run Mythic Plus with are not online, you can do your delves instead. I don't know. It's difficult because everybody plays the game slightly differently, but I still kind of concerned that the overall feel is going to be like, oh, they've put crests there, so it might be the path of least resistance to a short amount of crests. I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. Right, items. Item effects that increase their damage for each enemy struck while splitting between all enemies, sometimes known as meteor damage, has been increased by 100%. That's a monster of an increase. Trinkets of this type tend to scale very poorly compared to stat trinkets in area of effect situations. While this change is not necessarily intended to put them on par with each other, it should make them more competitive overall. Okay, sure. Completing the feat of strength for achieving Keystone Master or 1600 plus rated in PvP, or killing the final raid boss on heroic or mythic difficulty now grants one additional catalyst charge as a reward. This previously awarded a token for one armor set piece. We feel that the time has come to move on from earning and redeeming class armor set tokens at their vendors for a desired armor variant. Players will now want to find an eligible veteran track or higher armor piece to convert in the catalyst. These can be acquired from many sources around Undermine. Okay. I don't think that makes much of a difference, really. The intellect and stamina values on Daybreak, Sunset and Weavercloth Spellthread have been adjusted to match the agility, strength and stamina values given by armor kit counterparts for better parity. These changes apply to existing enhancements and do not require reapplying a Spellthread for updated values. Oh, this is interesting. Is this maybe why Cloth went mental last week? Is this potentially why Cloth went mental? Is this indication that tailors out there have seen this, looked at this, and have expected to sell more spell threads, and hence decided to stock up significantly more cloth to facilitate crafting those, maybe? It's retroactive for unused, already crafted ones. But if it brings spell threads closer up to what armor kits offered in terms of stats, it would indicate that tailors might have a better margin in crafting those. The difficulty being is that tailors don't really have many places to spend their concentration, and so there was an abundance of cheap spell threads anyway. In most instances, this is a significant increase, with 1-star and 2-star quality of the Weavercloth spell threads being reduced in potency. For example, a 3-star Sunset spell thread goes from 747 intellect and 230 stamina to 930 intellect and nearly 900 stamina. Meanwhile, a 2-star Weavercloth spell thread goes from 536 to 525, so that's basically not changed. But yeah, your 3-star Sunset spell threads have had a huge buff, huge monstrous buff. That's a massive buff. That is probably got something to do with why cloth, generally speaking, has gone a bit loopy-doopy. As I would suspect, tailors are going to see more success crafting and selling the spell threads this patch than they did last patch. Not that you couldn't sell them in Season 1, but the price was pushed down pretty aggressively by 2 factors. Clearly, less people actually wanted them. They still sell, but less people wanted them, so there was a lower demand for them in Season 1, while simultaneously there was a big supply of them because tailors had nowhere else to spend their concentration. There was a bigger supply of them at a cheaper price as well, let's not forget. So maybe this is bringing things a little bit more in line. Been known for a while, maybe somebody has just made this info quote-unquote popular. Either way, that's good for tailors. Even though it's not in the, profession section, that's good for tailors. Remaining bronze celebration tokens from the 20th anniversary have been converted into time walking badges. This exchange is 20 badges for each bronze celebration token, matching the boxes that are on the event vendor. Why it's taken them all the way till 11.1 to implement this, I have no idea. But if you missed out converting your anniversary event tokens, they'll automatically be converted to time walking badges now, so you're fine. Zealot's Insignia mana restoration effect reduced by 50% and requires direct healing to trigger. As groups acquired more of these rare necklaces as Season 1 progressed, its effect had a greater impact on the mana management than intended. This was particularly true for resto druids, who could trigger it significantly more often than other healers. Okay. Didn't know. Spymaster's Web passive stack on use intellect has been decreased. Treacherous Transmitter primary stat effect decreased by 5%. The Singing Citrine's heal effects reduced by 33%. Roaring War Queen Citrine chance to trigger has been reduced. Fixed an issue where Dragonflight Season 4 gear required a catalyst charge to be turned into tier. Oh, Dragonflight. I was like, for a minute, I was like, what? Surely it needs a catalyst charge. But we're in the wrong expansion. Yeah, for some reason, Dragonflight gear still needed catalyst charges. Whoops. Fixed an issue where some food or drink could stack with the Conjured Mana Bun to stack regen rates. Okay. Pet Battles gets its own category, albeit kind of small. New wild pets to collect over in Undermine. Wax Wick can be purchased at any stable master by players who've completed the Kazalgar Safari achievement. Oh, that's cool. I think he was meant to automatically be given to you, but it was bugged and people weren't able to get him. So they've put him on a vendor for anybody that missed out on that. Some PvP notes. Making updates to the PvP talents, focusing on removing, replacing and modernising our designs to encourage talent diversity, to save on keybinds and to reduce complexity and carve new gameplay space. Sure. Conqueror's Prized Varnish and Conquered Prize Lacquer are now purchasable in Dornegal for $8.75 and 700 Conquest respectively, and can be consumed to apply rated PvP item levels to class set armor that's acquired from PvE. These new consumables allow players to avoid having to choose between catalyzing PvP and PvE armor. For example, a player could acquire a Hero Track chest piece from Mythic Plus, convert it into their class set armor at the Catalyst, and then purchase a Conqueror's Prized Varnish to reach the same PvP item level that they would receive from purchasing and converting a Prized Gladiator Leather Vest for the same Conquest and Catalyst costs. Please note that armor upgraded in this way maintains its PvE origin, and so cannot be socketed with a Prized Jeweler's setting. Oh my lord, sure. I'm sure if you do PvP that means a lot more to you than it does to me. Class sets are 50% effective in PvP. It's nice you can just add the PvP property to your normal PvE gear so that you can take it into PvP and do well, I suppose. Sure. Some PvP specific class changes, much like the above. Please have a read through the specific ones yourself. Professions, the one that 100 plus of you have probably sat here waiting for. Right, we sort of slightly went through these the other day anyway, but resetting your specialization once per Dragon Isles profession and once per Kazalgar profession. Doing so will unlearn all recipes and benefits granted by your specializations and refund your knowledge points. This is all about the wording. This has caught most people off. This has caught a lot of people off because all they've read is doing so will unlearn all of your recipes. And that's where people stopped reading. right? You need to read the whole sentence. You don't lose all of your recipes when you use the profession reset. You lose all of the recipes that were granted by your specializations in the first place. So this for, if unlocking something in a node gave you a recipe, when you reset, that's the recipe that gets unlearned. You won't have access to recipes that you're not spec'd into. Now, of course, you can put points back in that node again and you'll gain that recipe back. I'm quite sure there's generic nodes that some people will always want to have, even if they use their refund. Yeah, it's not all your recipes. Please finish reading the sentence. With things like alchemy, that's discovery based, you can reset your knowledge points and maintain basically everything still, because you learned those recipes via discovery. You didn't learn them via knowledge points. Like any recipes you bought off the auction house, any recipes that you buy with artisan security, you maintain all of those. The only ones that you unlearn are ones that were granted by your spec trees in the first place. I know there's a lot of people that have been confused about that because they didn't read the whole sentence. You can use your spec reset in Dorganol, Dornogal, however you want to provide it. There's also a dude over in Valdrakken to do it as well, next to the Jewel Crafting Station for the Dragon Isles professions. Blacksmithing is having the siphoning stiletto damage increased a little bit. Some enchants are having some readjustments to them. It looks like for this patch they've gone the path of reconfiguring the existing stuff rather than giving us new things. So if you've been collecting recipes, if you've been crafting enchants, there's a strong chance that the favourite enchants will still continue to be the favourite enchants. This is big news for anybody that invested heavily into Authority of the Depths recipes, for example, for concentration alts. It is very likely that will continue to be a very, very popular weapon enchant, meaning that your investment in the recipe for your alts may hopefully be a fruitful one. Toxins or oils are getting increases as well. This is mostly to bring the bonus that these offer in line with the inflated values of everything because of Season 2 anyway. These, at face value, these look like huge, great big buffs, which isn't really the case. You've got to remember that everybody's damage has gone up, everybody's health has gone up, and so they bring the common enchants up as well. Same with engineering, jewel crafting, and leatherworking particularly. But the profession changes outside of some tweaks to the current setups is no new pieces of gear to be chasing, no raid recipes by the looks of things. Very, 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 very little in terms of updates to professions in the biggest goblin patch we've ever had. Odd, right? Feels weird that we've got this monster of a goblin patch. We've got 4 different goblin cartels to align yourself with each week. But there doesn't really seem to be any profession-related benefits to much of any of that. Even, like, there was a fishing vendor. You could fish up a goldfish or something, and then that was used as a currency at a vendor. Was the planned gameplay loop, but it went missing a couple of builds ago, and now people don't know where this vendor's gone. So either there's something secret to discover when the patch goes live, or the reality is there's basically no changes to professions. A handful of new recipes that you get at Renown 5 with the new faction, but that's basically it. There's the new campaign chapters. Trust issues, undermine awaits, uncovering the truth and breaking the shackles, igniting the fuel of change and homecoming. We can see here that trust issues, undermine awaits, uncovering the truth and breaking the shackles are available by the looks of things instantly. We'll be able to do these tomorrow. Ignite the fuel of change on March the 3rd. Join the goblins of the Undermine in their effort to take back the streets. And Homecoming, a new questing experience, becomes available for the first time on March the 3rd. So we get the first few chapters, but we don't get all of it until the season officially launches.
Tulok says, from now you will change your name into Gordon Ramsay.
Why would Stanley want to be called Gordon Ramsay?
A name change suggestion to Gordon Ramsay, you say? Well, if I were to switch names, I'd hope my gaming commentary would be as fiery and flavorful as his cooking critiques. And don't forget to check for a Twitch Prime, as always.
Gordon Ramsay's famous, even Stanley knows him. Nice. New local stories. From the Ringing Deeps to the Undermine, there is more to learn about goblins and their explosive culture. The kobolds have even snuck up to have a little fun romp around a lake. Yeah, there is quite a few little side quests you can go on, I noticed, when playing through on the PTR, which were quite fun. Definitely worth paying attention to, which were good. Right, user interface and accessibility. Warbands, additional war camps, these are cool, can now be created on the character screen with a maximum of 20 groups. Groups can be renamed or deleted by right-clicking on the header. New warband campsite backgrounds can be unlocked for the character select screen. A list of available campsites can be found in a new tab in the warband collections pane. Campsites collected can be accessed and delayed from the menu button. From here you can assign a campsite to a specific group, set a campsite as a favourite or randomise them.
Tulok says, Ihi Gordon, can you roast Mantius? Ho, Tulok.
No
asking for a
roasted
roast,
me.
are we?
No.
Well, let's just say if Mantius's gameplay skills were a dish, they'd be so undercooked, they'd need a fire flower to bring some heat. Remember?
Cancel that message. No roasting. No roasting. Sorry, not happening. So we can finally and easily see what server our characters are on again. You can actually search for the server now. It was added a while ago. But it'll be quite nice that, you know, you've got 4 favourites right now, but you'll be able to make different camps of up to 4 of your characters. For example, my sub with Twitch Prime characters are going to be my default characters, I think. So, sub with Twitch Prime for some shameless promo. That'll be fun to have a bit of a play with. Map and quest log pane. Map filter now has a counter for how many items are hidden from the map. Eh? Sure. A map legend has been relocated to a tab on the side of the pane. Sellout warband. Yeah, exactly. That's it. That's it. Got 14 tier 3 ciphers for only 480 concentration. 14? You must have hit a few multi-crafts on that. That sounds pretty spicy. Sounds pretty spicy. The event tab is something I'm actually really looking forward to. Been added to the pane with information about ongoing and scheduled events within Khazal-Gar. This allows you to keep track of your weekly event completion and set reminders for upcoming timed events. Now, I don't think this is going to completely get rid of like your Tamers equivalent week auras to track goings on and completions of stuff, but it will definitely supplement them and maybe take the reliance off them so heavily. It seems to be that whenever we get a brand new patch, a brand new zone, it's very quickly looked to a weak aura to tell us everything that you need to do in that zone. Having some of this baked into the game, cool, I like it. World events that appear in a city hub are now consolidated with the other map pins into the hub. Pins will be placed in their actual locations when zooming into the map specifically. Yeah, it was kind of a cluster going on in most places. Updated the visuals for the ground swirl effects for mobilities. Specializations for hunter pets can now be changed from the stable via a drop-down menu, meaning any hunter pet can be any hunter pet can be any specialization now, which is cool. Long overdue change, I think, personally. So get your tank kiddies at the ready. Overall add-on performance information has been added to the top of the add-on list, and information for specific add-ons is now included in the tooltips that appears when hover overing them in the game menu. Yeah, this is going to really showcase to some people just which of their add-ons are like the power hungry, resource hog add-ons. And I suspect that there's quite a lot of like those small little weird add-ons that some people use but not many people don't, that are probably wildly poorly optimized for the game, that are chunking huge amounts of players' resources. You should now be able to see some of that and bin them, basically. Get them gone. Get them gone. Add-ons can now be categorized by add-on authors, and related add-ons will be grouped automatically in the list. Search and new right-click options have also been added to the menu. I'm going to suggest, I am going to suggest to Trade Skill Master, to TSM, that they revert from having one big add-on and go back to their old modularized add-on. Trade Skill Master is fucking humongous resource hog. It is often right up there with the amount of resources. I will be suggesting to them that because, you know, it can be grouped up natively in the game now, that having a more modular TSM would be very useful. All the things is twice as heavy. All the things is another one. All the things is another one. I wonder if they're going to go like with a... I don't know how they... You know, all the things kind of relies on having everything to give you your all the things percentage. But all the things as an add-on could do very well for itself if it offered like an expansion level module. And, you know, if you want to collect all the things from the old expansions, you install those old modules. But it means that if you're just focusing on the current expansion, you have a much lighter add-on. I'm sure these add-ons have contemplated doing things like this before, but they probably have chosen to bundle everything up for the sake of one add-on, one download sort of thing. I know Trade Skill Master back in the day when it had its modules quite often had issues where people were trying to do something and it wouldn't do it because it didn't have the right module, so there was some problems there, but I'm sure they can figure that shit out, to be honest. Be nice if Blizzard just bake ATT into the quest tracker. I mean, yeah. Yeah. Not to discredit the guy who, or the community that keeps ATT up to date, but a lot of it it's another one of those things that could easily be integrated more if they wanted to. Now I hope that they add in profiles where you can set what add-ons should be loaded based upon what you are doing. Like, you don't need TSM if you're in a raid or a dungeon. Yeah. Yeah. That could be quite cool. I'm sure there's already add-ons out there that allow you to do exactly that. But once again, it's the theory that you need an add-on to control your add-ons. Do I need an add-on to control my add-on managers? You know, it's I'm all for Blizzard integrating as much as they can into the actual base game. The achievement point display in the guild roster will now display the total achievement points of that character's warband, the same value that is displayed in the achievement UI. The point total will not update in the guild until that character has been logged in at least once. Sure. Small diamond pips now display next to button actions that lead to new content. Sure. Well, there we go. That was the main patch notes for tomorrow's 11.1 launch. Pretty lengthy in terms of actual class changes more than anything else. But generally speaking, new zone, plenty of little goodies to play with for a little while. Will probably keep us busy for the foreseeable future. Simple add-on manager. Yeah, I'm sure there's a few. There's a few you could use. And with that, boys and girls, I might actually leave it there for today, on the basis of the fact that the next few days are going to be big days, and there is some admin-related stuff I want to get sorted before tomorrow. I'm going to love you and leave you for today. Thank you all for joining. If you are part of Team NA, good luck with your 11.1 launch as you official beta testers for Team EU. Team EU, I hope you'll join me tomorrow as we'll play through the new zone, see what's up, see how quick and easy it really is to get to Renown 5, play through some of the new content, maybe test the new dungeon delves, whatever. We're going to have some fun tomorrow. There's some Twitch drops as well, by the way. I'm going to use this last minute or two of the stream to do some slight shameless promo. There's some Twitch drops tomorrow. So if you want to lurk in stream, I think it's a 4-hour lurk and you get a little robotic doggo. I believe. I'm quite sure. Yeah, here we go. There's a Twitch drop tomorrow. So this is more for Team YouTube. As the drops are a Twitch exclusive thing. I appreciate whichever platform you join in on, but consider coming and lurking on Twitch tomorrow, as there will be this little Tock the Clocker Spaniel. A little bit difficult to say without having a Freudian slip. But yeah, I think this is a watch 4 hours situation. Yeah, here we go. Watch 4 hours of World of Warcraft content whilst these Twitch drops are active on any channel to earn the Tock the Clocker Spaniel. He's cool. I think variations of these have been in the trading post recently, haven't they, as well? But yes. Yes. But yes, enjoy the rest of your day. If you are jumping in nice and early to the new patch, have fun. Best of lucks. And if you're joining me here tomorrow, I look forward to seeing you. Have a wonderful day. Jack, I'm not reading that out. Love you and leave you. Peace. Cock. And there goes my monetization. Phooey.